Right. It is Summoning Insight. Quiet week, really. All we've got to do is talk about the finals and that. And then, I don't know. I guess there was a couple of Reddit posts I saw maybe we could address briefly, but wouldn't want to go into detail. Definitely wouldn't want to speculate. Wouldn't want to make outrageous statements and conclusions about people in the industry. Wouldn't want to call out fans, riots, none of that good stuff. Oh, wait, it's Summoning Insight, motherfucker. We're doing all that shit. In fact, the finals, put them on a shelf. Who the fuck's here to watch video games? Has no one noticed? Bro, no one's watching fucking LS breaking down the game. People are watching for the drama. People want to know about fucking cognitive empathy, motherfuckers. That's what people are here for. So let's give the people what they want, as Riot said, where they just went out in front of a giant baying crowd and went, do y'all want Los Ratones in the LEC? Then Mexican wave started and they were like, oh, well, that's how business works. So, Fnatic, if you paid $100 million to get in the league, don't give a fuck. Welcome to the fucking bad guys. Hollywood Hogan. New world order. New world order. Give me a fucking anything about it. Ready to go this week, motherfucker. I'm ready to go. Understand, homie. I'll tell you actually in underrated detail. We'll get to this. The one person who's actually low-key sort of winning this week, and I thought he was taking the biggest L ever, is fucking Kometo. Because right when his house was on fire, he got to point to like LEC towers had been hit by a nuclear bomb. He got, hey, don't look at that, guys. Look over there. It's a nuclear bomb. It's hit the LEC towers. There's innocent SK players in there. Like, he got to do that, didn't he? So, like, let's start with it. Listen, fuck all the build-up. Obviously, the drama bomb of all drama bombs is Sheep Esports has leaked a story that says that there was going to be a first split of the LEC next year, where basically it would take, now even this part we'll get into, I won't editorialize, there'll be 2 EMEA teams will get it. We'll get to how interesting that phrasing was. 2 EMEA teams will be in it, which since Cheap Esports is writing it, they're just out loud saying is Los Ratones. So look, essentially, if you're the fan who spent the whole year like, I wish I could see Los Ratones in LEC, but then Caedrel like, but I don't want to pay all the money because it doesn't make any sense. You get your dream. You get him to come and you get to have Reckless and Nemesis and Velia and all that good shit that you want. You get them all in the LEC. And there's all the factor that like, it's not just the LEC. They would potentially have a chance to go to first stand. They could actually go and represent the region at the international tournament, which look, very unlikely to happen, obviously, but obviously that's what fans' dream is. Every fan thinks, oh, only G2 in case he could beat them, that sort of a thing. So let's just start there, Yamato. This news came out. We'll get into the other, the knock-on effect. This news initially, what your first thoughts? I saw you did a stream on it, but what would you say about this topic?
No, it's weird because I went through 2 phases pretty much. Because initially, especially with how the article is written, because it was stated in the article that there were certain things that teams disagreed to. So I think it was almost implied that the teams agreed to this aspect of it,
right?
Because they disagreed about the world's element. Right. But this was just the lesser version of what Riot wanted to enforce. And after I made my news thing, like because I was very I was very confused about the wording of it all. Sheepies was like reached out to me and said that it was actually like the teams that leaked the information, not Riot themselves. It was just like the timing of the interview that came out and the timing of the leak. It just seemed also coordinated and unorganic. And at the same time, the wording and the phrasing of course, the post stating like, this is something that they did, and then the EMEA, it's because Los Ratones did good. It just sounded like Riot speak in terms of what it is. Because let's be honest, it's like this whole bullshit that this would have happened in a world where Los Ratones wasn't as popular. Like, let's say there's a Ruddy Sack situation where we were dominating, like we wouldn't have gotten in. You think a team with me and Dom would be invited to play in EMEA? No, it's all about just popularity. Because I think from Riot's side, they're thinking, okay, if Los Ratones if they disband next year and they have no incentive to stay together, that's a very, very bad thing for us. So we want to keep them in the fold and incentivize them to continue, because people were speculating on, is this team going to continue or not? Because they've done it all. If they've won EMEA, NOC, like people want something more. They are not excited enough about the prospect of them continuing in DRLs. And I thought from reading that, I was okay, the LECTs are on board. I think it's a good idea. Keep Los Ratones in the fold. It isn't too extreme. But then it came out because like Ibai was taking jabs. He's like, Team Heretics paid 35 million to be a part of the league. Navi just joined 3 months later. Los Ratones is in for free. it seems like the teams are not on board at all. And I think that is the crucial detail. It's like if the teams are not on board at all, it just means that Riot is just spitting on the partnership, disrespecting the teams involved completely, and just showcasing that there's no trust. There's no like let's say autonomy. There's no sense of democracy. This is not a partnership at all. They bought into something. And the precedent that this sets, because a lot of the commentary, like pro this, like, oh, it's just went to split. It doesn't matter. No, it's not an LEC split. Well, what is stopping now Riot from going and making even greater changes? Because these franchise fees that these teams paid, they probably came with some contingencies. But the weird aspect for the LEC teams, should they stand up? Should they protest? It's like at the same time, they have obligations to their sponsors. It's like suddenly the money that they have to pay their players and their staff doesn't come in because they don't meet the obligations of the sponsorships that they've had that are contingent on the LEC. I don't know what kind of a path you'd go down, but this is like one of those moments where either you fight or you don't, or you're going to just be in a position where you are handlocked for the rest of time, because maybe next year they're going to move forward with that idea of making EMEA completely integrated with, of course, the world's qualification process. And then you have teams there like KC and Koi. Like they could have done that shit through the same system Los Ratones did. It's just a question of timing. And I agree, I think the franchising point, I think franchising is bullshit. I understand where it came from and the idea of it, but we've all reached a point now where the teams that are involved in the league are not even the same ones that were there at the beginning, so it doesn't make any sense. It's just teams that bought in, and the return on that money is not going to happen. And I'm sure there were some contracts and some stability and some sponsorships that came out of it, but inherently I do think it has hurt the league, and I think everyone that is watching esports is against the idea of franchising because of what it leads into. But that is like outside of the conversation. What is your take, Thorin? What has been your read on the entire situation?
Well, I just recorded Best Damn League show, so I already have in my mind all the points I made on that show and discuss with other people. So what I'm going to do to make it different, we're going to go piece by piece of this story and do a back and forth and see where we come out on it, right? So first things first, I want to rewind all the way back to that detail, that essentially the news post itself may as well have said, Los Ratones is in the LEC. Holy shit, get hype, homies. Like, that's why you're right. It could easily initially been interpreted as Riot or Los Ratones leaked this, because like that looks super hype. But here's what's silly about that. That is on its face so obviously a bad faith decision, and here's why, Yamato. I think if Los Ratones didn't exist, there would be 0 EMEA teams getting this opportunity. And secondly, here's why there's 2. Because everyone knows recency bias, right? What you'd want is the best EMEA team. Well, because the finals haven't happened yet for the last split, what if Los Ratones somehow didn't win? The entire thing is clearly reverse engineered to put Los Ratones into this tournament. That's why you've had to make it 2, so that they have 2 ways of getting in. They either win this split and get in, or they're just the best performing team over the year. So essentially, we've done a circuit points thing we don't even do in any aspect of league anymore. So you've just done that. The joke is, I'll tell you the number one people who should be literally thanking and kissing Caedrel's feet, whoever the other EMEA team is, because homie, this is a miracle for you. You didn't deserve this. You did nothing. By the way, you will add nothing to the tournament. You aren't as big as the LEC teams. You'll probably get banged on anyway. So will Los Ratones probably. And then, so that part already is insane. Like, what do you think? Do you agree with that? Like, it seems to me like the whole thing was crafted to get Los Ratones specifically back into the league.
100%. It's just like one of the points I've made is like in a world, let's say for some reason Los Ratones underperform next year, and then you have 2 entirely different ERL teams. They're gonna change the goalposts. They're gonna change it completely. It's not gonna be the same. It's just it's deluded to think any like I would prefer honesty. It's like Los Ratones is extremely popular, and that's why we want to include them. Yes. And I think that would have like gone better, because that's something I remember we talked about EWC. We're like, yeah, EWC, like that's the wrestling tournament. You can bend rules, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You don't care.
We should invite Los Ratones to that one. It would make sense.
Just throw them in there, like for the sake of the viewership. I think it's a great way to do it, because it's beyond, it's just prize fighting in the end. Yes. But in the context of like that, it's like if Los Ratones underperform next year, I don't know what's going to happen. The rule set is also super strange, because it's like, on top of the fact that it's a summer winner, It's like next year, but most of the time, like we already had the issue that EMEA Masters Finals is like when quarterfinals of Worlds is happening. Usually EMEA Masters is finished way earlier, and they did it because they wanted the LAN. And the reason it ended earlier is because you wanted to have the freedom and mobility for these players to move on to LEC teams, different teams.
By the time you get to the point in Worlds, a bunch of players will be signed already.
100%. And it's going to be the same now. The teams that might be in the finals might not be even signed on the team. And also the team that will win most likely won't be the same team for next year. So it's like sending them in there it's not going to be the same roster at all. And I think that point in itself is also completely silly. The lack of, I think, we're going to have a lack of transparency on how they've distributed the points, because is there a world where a team that maybe made semis and then the finals and then maybe they win in summer, would they have more points than Los Ratones in that context? Or is it just a done deal? Because let's say Los Ratones bomb out in early and they don't have enough points in summer. Are they out then? What is the point system? They will always adjust that hidden point system to make them hit, because for example, if we look at the LPL, winter and spring is counted less and summer is counted more, and there's weighings involved, but they're going to change the points to make sure that Los Ratones get in no matter what happens in the summer.
I'll tell you why. That in itself, the fact that it isn't what it's presented as, Yamato. That's what I hate, is the dishonesty of it. You're pretending you're connecting LEC to the EMEA system, which connects to the ERLs, and you're making a promotion system like the Premier League. The difference is they don't, Yamato, go, wait a minute. Did a good team get relegated? Right, open up extra slots for promotion next season so that they can get back in. Oh, right, it was shit teams that went down. Okay, who gives a shit? Reduce it to the minimum amount of slots. That's not business, mate. That's not a league structure. That's actually incredibly biased, and it's fucked up. And so one of the reasons why I also hate the precedent this sets is because the precedent basically is, let's get Caedrel, Reckless, and Los Ratones in. Those are probably in that order, back in some way into the LEC, because Caedrel's a huge streamer. These are huge names. Everyone wants to see them play, and it's the big fucking drama. Whereas no one cares about SK, no one cares about Na'Vi, etc., the bottom teams. It's not sexy. But I'll tell you an example of why this is terrible, because let's move on to the whole franchise part and the fact that other teams either initially bought in for 10 million euros or later bought other people's slots for 20, 30, crazy money that they'll never see back in their entire time in league, right? I'll tell you an angle here. It's the IBI factor. Right, by this logic, if you're IBI and you're actually a businessman, what you should do is immediately sell your share of KOI, go and make an ERL team, pick NLC, it's the shittest one. You'll be guaranteed to get to EMEA every season. And if you win EMEA, you get back into the LEC. And suddenly your team's there without any of the franchise costs. You've made millions selling your slot, and now you're back in LEC anyway. You're the one watching it. They need you. You're the biggest guy bringing the viewership. If you don't know, in Valorant, it's even implied his team got removed from fucking VCT because he wasn't streaming enough, so they weren't bringing the viewership. So notice it wasn't about his team. It was about, you need IBI turning his stream on. That's what you've done with Caedrel here. I'll give a more extreme version. What if tomorrow XQC goes, actually, I'm going to start a team. Put my team in whatever, put it in fucking German league if you want. Put it in there, and then I'm going to go, and then suddenly he's getting millions of views. Then what, he has to be in the league too. This isn't a sport, mate. Again, like you say, that's prize fighting. That's Conor McGregor against Floyd Mayweather. Conor McGregor could never have won the fight, but it's going to make way more than two really good boxers fighting. That's going to make more than like Canelo versus Crawford. It just is. Like, that's the nature of fucking entertainment. But Riot isn't the one who gets to do that, bro. They're not running WWE. This is supposed to be a sports league, hence franchising. That's the problem. You know, in WWE, the wrestlers don't pay to be in it, for fuck's sake. They get paid by WWE. That's why they have to do what they're told. You are essentially a co-owner of LEC if you're a team. So let's go to this part, right? If you're a co-owner, I'll tell you an actual reason I've seen nobody bring up the point of. Do you know what? You know, there's a saying, right, in English. It says politics makes for strange bedfellows. Because essentially, politics means you wake up one day, you roll over. What the fuck? I thought I was enemies with you, but on this topic, we're aligned. I guess we're like a weird coalition. Are you ready, Yamato? Despite all the shit happening this week, which I definitely wasn't on his side, suddenly I'm on Kameto's side. What time is it? What year is it? What year is it? Is this Doctor Strange in the fucking Metaverse of Madness? What's going on? I'll tell you why I'm on his side, Yamato. Because every single reason to bring Los Ratones into LEC applied even more to Kameto and Karmine Corp 2 years earlier. If the logic was they've got a giant fan base, by the way, KC fan base shits on Los Ratones fan base. I don't care what the numbers on Twitch are. KC filled stadiums to announce players. Stadiums, bro. They have a guaranteed fan base. They have a national fan base. That is a fan base you want in the LEC. You want Kometo to stream the LEC. These are all things you want. So logically, if you're Kometo, why the fuck did I have to buy a slot? That's the first thing I say. Then secondly, you could even argue that he never even, if the logic is we need the viewership and the hype and the fans, he never should have even had to buy someone else's slot. The logic should have been, we propose expanding the league. There's 2 new slots. Kometo, you can have one for 10 mil, like all the other teams bought in for. That would actually have been way fair to him. So I actually think Kometo should be the #1 person who's aggrieved. Yeah, if you're Heretics and BDS and all the others that bought in, it sucks for you as well, Navi. But the difference is, he checks every box. Los Ratones does him more as far as what do you think on that angle?
No, I'm with you. I think you can easily make the point if the team, let's say the franchising was disappeared today and all the teams that are currently in needed to buy in again. I think you can easily make the argument that a team like KC should be paying way less, a team like G2 should be paying way less, and the teams that offer very little should be paying way more. I think from a standpoint of what a company is, or like there's moments where companies that are like publicly owned or not publicly owned, where they dilute stocks to bring in like strategic investors, and they definitely like give shares or like give share price at a very specific like price point to of course attract strategic investors and to involve people that can add a lot to your league, and that's something that I think should have been explored a lot earlier, and I think it's something that maybe the LEC team should have been thinking about a lot earlier, because there's a world, it's like exactly what you mentioned. Like if you like Mr. Beast has dabbled at times about wanting to do things. It's like, oh, Mr. Beast is like, do he change the whole format? Yeah, like let's say that happens. Yeah. It's like Donald Trump wants to make he's like, well, I'm gonna conquer Europe. It's just some freaky ass shit, could happen. Does everything change then? Is that where we're at? It's just extremely unserious, and this is just the consequence on franchising. Like if you want to move in that direction, then just pay everybody out, buy everybody out, and be done with it. Like that's what it should come down to. But remember that one time we got that question where someone said, it's like, is it just a conspiracy to like reduce the value of the franchise league to like push people out? Like the more and more I think about it, especially in the context of the LTA and the decision they've made, I feel like they got to the point where teams disappeared and wanted to be out. Is that the same path that LEC is gonna go down? It's like you kill franchising through bad decisions and just devalue the whole process, so then it can revive without them paying out what would be maybe like a 400 million, just euro buyout to get everybody out of the league, maybe.
By the way, let's start there. Even though, yes, it is the next logical conclusion, which is if Riot didn't want the current franchise model of the teams that have bought in being the ones that stay in, then logically pay the teams out and start over and have a different concept for the league, right? I can tell you right now, that would be one of the worst business decisions Riot ever made as a company. They absolutely are going to fight legally and in terms of PR to hold on to those franchise fees till the bitter fucking end, because essentially they did trick the teams. They fucked them all. In fact, let's have a bigger talk about franchising for a second, because a lot of fans are going crazy for what they want and not understanding that they are just a guy paying nothing, watching for free on Twitch, whereas there are people who have paid real millions of dollars to make these businesses and to be in the LEC. So here's the point to make. If people don't understand, there's 2 aspects. There's real life franchising in sports and there's esports franchising. I'll start with real life franchising. One of the reasons why, and the LEC and LTA use the American model, like the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, which is it's a closed league. It's not like European soccer where you can get relegated and then you can get promoted. It's a closed league where you buy in, and then the idea is you're a little cartel. Then the owners even get to decide who gets to buy into the league, etc. By the way, who gets kicked out of the league. That's why if there's scandals, they can kick people out, etc. if they think it's a bad look for the whole league and someone said something racial or something fucked up like that happened in the NBA like 10 years ago or something. Basically, that model This is where people are getting it wrong. Bro, the top thread right now on the League of Legends sub is about how nobody should have sympathy for the LEC owners because they're all greedy and they all just wanted an extra yacht by having franchising. You lose money doing franchising. You lose tens of millions of dollars if you're a team. You're not actually paying because fans still think, Yamato, like this is 2002. More viewers equal sponsors equal money equal we're all rich. Not if you bought in for tens of millions. You're never making close to that revenue back. And you have to put all the operating costs of a team in. You have to pay caps. You have to pay fucking Larson, all the Humanoid, all the big contracts out. You have to import people. You have to pay for coaching stuff. You have to pay for... You're never, ever making money. The actual gamble that everyone knew going in to this league was like the NFL model. I'll give you a quick couple of numbers and you'll know what I mean. There's a famous story that goes that the Denver Broncos NFL team actually at the end of in the early 2000s, their star quarterback, the most famous player ever in their history, John Elway, they apparently offered him, you can just buy the team, because obviously you'd be a great like ambassador, you can buy this whole franchise for something mental like $200 million. But at the time, he wasn't paid a lot in his career. He was like, fuck, I mean, obviously I'd have to get an investor group together. That's still a gamble. Here's the problem. The reason that story is known, Yamato, is because when you tell the story now, the punchline is the Denver Broncos are probably worth $3 billion. Like 20 years later. So now it becomes like, holy fuck, maybe he should, now he fumbled it. That would have been the greatest, that would be better than his career, basically, to make him money. That would be insane. So that's literally the logic, by the way, that esports use. And that's why I said this, Yamato, to set up the next point, esports franchising. Everyone forgets the first domino of esports franchising. It wasn't LEC. It wasn't LCS. It was the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League was the same model. They went to NFL owners, NBA owners, NHL owners, big publishing companies, and they said to them, buy a slot, here's the projections. They even had a big tech company, finance company, do projections of what the viewership would be and what sponsorship you'd make and what you'd make from ticket sales. And they sold them on the sports model that if you do this, you'll have your own stadium, your own region, your own market base, basically. You'll have all this viewership because esports is the hot shit and it's got all these bazillion viewers and it's the new kids thing and no one watches sports anymore. And so all those owners bought in for 20, 30 million the first time round. So then LEC and LCS were like, right, we're going to do the same thing. Because if you remember, Reggie pushed for this. Reggie did an open letter to Riot basically saying, like, let us have slots that we buy into instead of just being teams. Because remember, at the time, Team Liquid had been in promotions, bro. And they were having to, like, bring Doublelift in to save them and shit. So they wanted to have a slot because they also saw in Owl, like, that's where the industry was going. There's a very key point to understand here. The reason why Overwatch is the domino that actually killed the esports industry temporarily is because no actual endemic org who isn't an NFL team. And if you're Cloud9 and you bought an Overwatch League slot, they did. It doesn't, you couldn't actually afford that. No one could. No one made that from sponsorship. You don't have $30 million lying around, bro. What you had to do back then was you were a real business, by the way, that used to make potentially profit from massive sponsorships with, you know, fucking huge companies. What you had to do is you had to go and take part of your company, your equity, sell it to investors, and investors pumped in the 30 million with a business plan like madmen that this is what you were going to do. You're going to have a franchise slot that over history, the entire mechanism is one day, could be 5 years, 10 years from now, this will be worth 10 times, or if we hit gold, 100 times what we bought in for. So suddenly it'll be worth it, and you'll be in on the ground floor of the next NFL, the next sports league, a giant project. That's why people pumped in, as you say, hundreds of millions to the LEC, hundreds of millions to the LCS. And the joke is they would still be doing it to this day if there hadn't been that esports winter 3 years ago where all the investment went away and all the financial markets capped in America. That would still be a thing to this day. And so that's why you can't just turn around and tell these owners, you're greedy, or like, hey, bookings, hey, settle down, let other people play. Or saying, you're just mad that your team wouldn't compete with Los Ratones. No, I'm mad that I'm out tens of millions of dollars and they get in for free, mate.
It just seems to, like, the disconnect from fans just seems to be that, like, if you have a franchise league, like, if you are a team in the league, you own part of the league.
Yeah.
You're paying for the right to play in the league. While that is a part of it, it's like you're paying to own a part of the whole idea. You're hoping that you can sell licensing and broadcasting deals, and you're hoping
I would
that
suspect you, Mato. This is why you had the home stance this year. I imagine Casey and Koi and stuff pushed for that. They were like, "Look, we've got our fan base. Let us do home stands. It's going to be." I'll bet they all pushed for it themselves. I don't think that was a Riot idea, mate.
Oh, 100%. It's just like there was a big complaint for a long time from Casey and Koi that the venue in Berlin was too small and they couldn't have massive shows. Like Casey made that cooperation with an arena that is outside of Paris, right? Like they are very, very ambitious, very ambitious. And like it even came out that the teams, as far as I understand, they lost money on those home stands. So it's like it's all coming from the right place, It's like I think what Casey and Koi is doing, it definitely like comes from the right place.
That's the same concept. It's that I'm going to put on the events and get fans to go, so that one day they will pay Taylor Swift money to come to the same venue. Then we all make money. Then the city makes money. We make money. The stadium. But again, you're willing to lose money early to establish it, though. It's the same. I agree. And by the way, that's a great thing for the league that you're willing to do that.
100%. And then now it's like if you as teams, you've paid to own a part of the league, and the creator, so to speak, Riot, can just override you, like that precedent is just so terrible for you. It's like it's such a bad move. Like everyone's gonna see it. It's only winter. It's not an LEC sport. It's like we don't know what's gonna come. And it's like if you look at the track record of some of the decisions that Riot has made over the last couple of years with this format.
You remember this? Don't worry about Fearless. It's only going to be for winter. We're about to play fucking Worlds on it. You're right. That's literally how it went. It was sold as it's just a trial for winter, and then suddenly it was the entire year. You're right. I agree. If they'd liked how it went in this first split, they'd just do it for the whole year. They'd find a way, wouldn't they? They'd find a way, mate.
It's just so reactionary. Right? It's like I think if you are committing to decisions and you are approaching it in a principled manner and a professional manner, I expect you to follow through on your promises. But if you are reacting to wherever the wind blows and whatever, it's like the equivalent of like, let's say some league person gets popular on TikTok, and then suddenly the casting desk is just replaced by this TikTok person just because currently he's in the sphere of popularity, and then suddenly you're pushing these guys on the wayside, and then they don't have the experience, and then they're not working the event or whatever. It's like that type of decision making bleeds into everything, because this seems so short-term driven. What happens if Los Ratones doesn't play good? It's just you're doomed. Then like at that point in time, I don't understand. An additional detail why it makes it seem so reactionary is that you have a situation where the rogue slot, they were begging to be bought out for such a long time. The Riot could have just bought it out.
Yeah,
they could have just bought it. They could have bought it out. They could have bought it out.
What you could have done, Yamato, is literally what the LTA did. You could have bought out slots of teams leaving and then offered it to a guest slot. 100 Thieves, you give it to them because it's 100 Thieves. Same thing. Give the guest slot to Los Ratones. Tell the same thing. They don't get any revenue. They don't pay the cost, but they're also only here temporarily and as long as they perform, they get to stay. If they don't, you get to. Yeah, that's a reasonable compromise. This was like not done like that.
Because it's like they weren't aware of where Los Ratones would land and what would happen. And then it's like, oh, Los Ratones might disband next year. How do we keep them involved and how do we keep them intrigued? It's like, are they going to go over to North America and they're going to beg to break the rules? We can't have that happen. That would be very, very bad for us. Because I imagine that this is something that's like Caedrel was trying to figure out. It's like, how can we stay active in a way that is like progressing? Because that's his incentive. And from his side, I understand the incentive, but now Riot is like they push through on this decision at the cost of the teams, and it's not a conversation if the teams should have agreed or not agreed. It's like I don't understand the deep nuance of the finances of the teams. I could understand and rationalize a world where the LEC teams would agree, but they didn't, and that is the main issue: is that Riot does whatever the hell Riot wants, and that's just been the history of Riot, and it's continued to be so in franchising.
The reason I said that thing earlier about how the league was done as well is because actually, if you know now, Riot, if you just said today, like, amnesty, there are no slots and all the money's back in your accounts, no one would ever pay the money to be in one of these slots. It would be like Valorant. Valorant is Riot selects you because you're a good person to be in their league, and then they pay you a fee to be in their league and to run your teams and pay all the costs of the players and the fucking boot camps and the housing and the coaching staff and all the things you have to pay. Essentially, they pay you to be in the league. That's how, if LEC was like that, no one could complain, because then it would be about who the orgs that make sense for Riot to work with. But I'm sorry, Riot has taken an enormous amount of money. They've taken 9 figures worth of money for this league to exist. So that's why I'm sorry. I go the other way. I don't have sympathy for you, the fan, going, why does SK get to stay? Because they paid fucking 10 million euros, bro. You pay nothing to watch them, and you're complaining. I'm sorry, I don't feel that sorry for you. I would feel bad if you paid $30 a month to watch it on a special broadcast, and then you had to pay, like I do for football, to 15 euros for this other one to watch Worlds. Yeah, then I'd go, you know what, you should demand better. That's fucking bullshit product. Right now, the product's free for you. You're the only person who loses $0 doing this whole fucking thing. So I think that part's outrageous. Then there's the whole thing as well, that if this had been, have I not said this idea on this show before, Yamato? If this was a separate pre-season exhibition tournament, it's not called the LEC. Maybe it doesn't even have all the LEC teams, and maybe G2 doesn't play. Maybe it's just, you know, Fnatic, KC, Vitality, Heretics, SKBDS, then it's Los Ratones and the other 2 best EMEA teams. Maybe those, or the winner of LFL. You could pick how you want to do it. Maybe those teams play an exhibition tournament. That is just like a little mini EWC. It's just for funsies, it's just for prize money, for hype. It doesn't count towards the season. No, this is worse, bro. This would be LEC. That means in a world where Los Ratones did a miracle, did a Leicester in the Premier League, they could win LEC and be the sole European representative at first time. Are you out of your motherfucking mind, bro? That is an idea concocted by a dickhead fanboy on Reddit, not the fucking people running a sports league. That is the craziest. That would be, again, like you just let the best college team into the LFL without paying a franchise fee. And if they do well, they can go to the Super Bowl. The most viewed sporting event in the world. What are you talking about? That can't. If I'm a team owner, that cannot be allowed. That's why I agree with you. If we rewind, that's why it's obvious this came from the teams that it was leaked. Because I'll tell you something teams always do. If they know a move's coming that's fucked up by Riot, and they've tried talking about Riot, but Riot won't change their mind, you leak it in advance in the hopes that fans side with you. Now, sadly, Yamato, they've actually misjudged the fans, because the fans were like, "This is awesome. Los Ratones and Reckless in the LEC. Yes, please." Shut up, Kometo. Shut up, you greedy bastard. This is awesome. Sadly, it's actually sort of backfired on him, I think, mate. I think the fan sentiment's gone the opposite way. I think fans think this is dope. Like, if I'm Riot, I'm waking up like, whew, holy shit, I was scared when I was up in that Reddit thread. What was that going to say?
It's just, like, it's Reddit seems to be very, very, let's say, like the Caedrel Los Ratones fans are like the fans that are spread out, and I think the English-speaking fans, they use Reddit, right? They use Pedro's Peoples and so forth. But like you mentioned, like you coming together and siding with Kameto, it's like you also have the Spanish fans and the French fans being on the same side, which is also something that is very, very rare. Because Ibai was also doing jabs, you know? Like he was also sending his jabs out as like... you know, he posted like a gif of like some random dude like explaining to Team Heretics and BDS for spending how much the money they spent to join the league. You know? It was a good one. So it's like there is wars on multiple fronts, because Twitter seems to be very, very, you know, angry at Riot. Reddit just I don't know, Reddit, for me, I don't use Reddit as much anymore, because I think Reddit has just lost its thunder. But it's interesting to see real time. It's just the war of big fan bases happening on the timeline.
I even saw one that was just crystallized in a specific industry person tweet. So I'm going to reference it, even though I'm calling him out. Because guess what? You made it publicly on your Twitter, bro. This wasn't a secret thing that someone over-recorded with a dictaphone in a fucking cafe somewhere that you didn't intend to be public. The analyst of Los Ratones was like, everyone before didn't like franchising, and now suddenly they're defending it. Right, first of all, you're the analyst for Los Ratones, bro. Shut the fuck up. We all know which way your bread's buttered. That's ridiculous. And then secondly, no, nobody is saying franchising is awesome. We're saying it exists. And by the way, we haven't even added in, Yamato, the legal implications here. You could probably do a massive class action lawsuit against Riot for this. It's just that no one wants to do that because it wouldn't get resolved for years. That would get drawn out. It would cost everyone loads. But I'm almost certain this would not actually be legal, what you've done. As you say, you've essentially gone in a business cartel and you've just taken all the people you had partnership and ownership agreements with and you've just said, I'm just going to ignore you, just do whatever the fuck I want. Lol. Like, literally, the whole case would be based around the idea that you charged me 30 million and you've now devalued that and given it for free to someone else. Bro, that feels like you would be in so much trouble if you're Riot. They're just lucky that people don't litigate in esports. It's just so hard and it takes so many years and no one wants to do it. That's why everyone's doing the war of PR. That's what the current way to solve this is. Let's do the PR battle and then hope that forces Riot's hand. That's what everyone's doing. So there has to be no bloodshed and no money lost and no fucking dragging out all the secret grimy details behind the scenes because no one wants that. It's bad for everyone. So no, I think the whole thing's ass, bro. I think it's just ass. And by the way, in theory, again, from a competitive standpoint, you think I don't want to see Los Ratones there? You don't think I want to see Reckless get that work from Mickey X and Alvaro? Of course I motherfucking do. But I tell you what, not at this cost. Yeah, not at this cost. Also, I do think it's so bullshit to all those orgs. Like, already we would want to have KC in the league. You'd even, in theory, want Na'Vi. You might even want Falcons, for fuck's sake. At this point, in for a penny, in for a pound. You might want all these orgs. Those are on the surface better than SK and BDS and all the rest. Like, they're going to spend way more money. They're going to make your league more hype. They're going to import the best players. Like, that's good for you in theory.
I saw that Molecule post. It was just so... I got like the amount of dumb posts. I've really tried my best to sometimes every now and then it's like queuing up for a league game and hoping it's gonna be great. It's like, okay, I open up Twitter and I'm like, maybe I can convince a couple of people of having like a nuanced position here. It's like because it's like, oh, everyone's defending franchise. It's such a stupid position to have. Like nobody is at all.
By the way, I'm even one of the number one people. There's a show you can go and watch it out there. Do you remember a guy who was in esports? He wasn't directly in league as much. He was an esports lawyer called Bryce Blum. He was actually quite a famous figure. He was one of the first big esports lawyers. There was a show that guy, you'll know, he was like a scene figure called Dr. Puppet or whatever, some German content creator. He did a show like whenever they launched the LEC as a franchise league, where it was a debate. Me and Bryce Blum and someone else were debating, should franchising exist? By the way, I was the one against franchising. I said all the arguments that everyone now says. I said you'll get scenarios like you did with Giants and fucking your boy Jizuke, where a guy just can't get on a team because all the orgs are like, not sure you fit our culture, not quite my tempo, or people like, you flamed my player so you can't join. And it's like, well, with promotions, he just makes a team and beats your team, dickhead. See ya, you're out, he's in. That's competition. That's how you get the best players and the best teams in. You know, Leader would have been in like 20 times already. You wouldn't have to hope someone picks him up and doesn't read Reddit and go, wait a minute, he only plays the fucking Melee champions. He doesn't have to do that thing. He'd just be able to win the game and get into the league. So that's one of the reasons why I was always against it. I knew it would make competition worse. I knew you'd get teams that would be cynical, like Astralis and SK, and they'd spend the minimum every year trying to just fluke a playoffs and then go, lol, I'm only bleeding out like a couple of million a year. You're spending 10 million. Let's see who's here in 5 years, 10 years, when hopefully that big 10x check comes in, the 100x check comes in. Because by the way, you do know at the moment, the team that did the best business in the history of European League of Legends is Astralis, bro. Because Astralis didn't even pay much for the Origin squad that they originally got. If you remember, their branding was Origin and they were a top team. Those were budget fucking salaries, if people don't know, and they had a shot at the title. Then they did budget rosters, super budget rosters for the next few years and barely did anything. And then finally, they sold their 10 million slot for like 30 million to BDS or whatever it was. Lol, they just fucking owned everyone. But I'll tell you what, who enjoyed watching that Astralis period? It was shit. It was good at the beginning, and then it was shit. But that's business. So, again, you have to decide, what is it? Is this a business project? Is it a sports league? Or is it just for fans? Is it just for the most hype ever? In which case, by the way, if you want the most hype ever, you're not even going to like this, fans. Fuck LEC. Make the Western Super League. Bring FlyQuest. Bring Team Liquid. Bring Cloud9. Put them all in a room. Have them play out the fucking league. Have streamers. Have personalities. Have fucking Ronaldo courtside watching going, no, I definitely care about this like I care about boxing. I'm not being paid by this chic guy over here to pretend I care about it. Fuck, what time do I get back to training? Like, give me a break. I've Conor McGregor there. You gentlemen, what is I want it. Get Callisto out. I want it. Bro, did you see the other day for his bare knuckle boxing thing where he did the face off with the players, the two fighters? There's like Mike Perry, that guy who's the main champion, and the other one. The joke people were making is it was a three-way face off. Conor McGregor was in the faces like, yes, and what are you going to say now? What are you going to do now? Anyway, mate, that's what you should do if you want it to just be WWE. Forget all this sports shit, forget business, just make it hype. But we're not. We're running a sports league here. And some very important people who built European and American esports have invested essentially their whole company into doing this. And we can't just say to them, lol, sorry, it'd be fun to have Los Ratones in. And I'll lastly throw this out there as well. If Los Ratones was such an epic org that does so well, I'm just going to guess this. I have to guess Yamato, but I think I know enough about the industry to be able to guess. I'm going to guess Los Ratones players make nowhere close to the salaries of LEC teams, especially not the big viewership ones. And so when they come to this LEC, why is Caedrel incentivized to pay them megabucks? Is he? Is he even incentivized to do that? I don't know. They could even be playing basically for budget amounts. Like, that in itself worries me too, mate. It's like, you can just come to the league and be paying people. Because as far as I can tell, Los Ratones is like, you join because you get to have the exposure. You get to have Caedrel stream you. Reckless is on your team. And fucking Nemesis, who could have been in a top team the whole time, he's going to be there too. That's why you join this team. Like, people laugh at that story of Nemesis. I told Velia not to join the LEC. Bro, he'd probably have had more money if he had. He might have even made his name for himself. Who knows? Who knows? So that whole thing's, that's another ball of fucking wax. Who the fuck wants to unravel that, mate? Just leave that to one side. Because I don't believe in NLC. If you don't know, guys, the bottom NLC teams don't even pay salaries. I just do not believe that they're paying. But I would guess they just get the stream.
Los Ratones don't pay a salary. They don't pay a salary. And
bro, they have to pay minimum wage for the LEC in Germany. They have to pay out money.
And it's like, even when the discourse was around the idea of Los Ratones joining the LEC, I always said it makes no fucking sense. Why would they do that?
Yes.
They are streaming everything. Everything is in the open. They have insane numbers on YouTube, insane numbers on Twitch. All the players get to stream all the time. Velia is like, they are hosting each other and really, really creating like a symbiosis between, of course, their viewer bases, and they are like coordinating their stream schedules to always, of course, share that fan base, and everyone has very, very successful streams. Like, that was the bargain. They get the prize money from the competitions. Like, EMEA Masters, like 20K here, 20K there, and sometimes they have like deals. Like, for example, I believe that every one of them are sponsored by Displate, for example. I think that's something that's tied to Los Ratones. So I'm sure as a collective they can leverage to get sponsorships for one another. But in terms of like a salary, like, that comes out of pocket, is I understand that there are people in the organization that like Caedrel is paying, like whether it's like managers, GMs, and like camera people and so forth, paying these people. But in terms of the players, their gain is of course the popularity, which is of course immense. But moving then into a situation where maybe you need to pay like 20, 25 mil or whatever to get into the league, like, that's a business proposition that you would never want to take, because like the biggest detail and the most important detail is that, like, the difference from what Caedrel did in comparison to like KC is KC was like through the competition and through the of course the structure that was in place, which was LFL2 and then LFL1 and then EMEA Masters. So they were like in the constraints of what Riot did, and they played by the rules the entire time. And KC and what Los Ratones has tried to do is to like push the boundaries of the rules, making so streams they can scrim and stream them, because that was something that wasn't allowed for the longest time with the LEC teams. They were not allowed to do anything with any other game, any other competition. This year we had the NNO Cup where Vitality played and SK played, which is like moving in that direction. We have the Red Bull events, which is moving in that direction. And this is, of course, something that Caedrel and Los Ratones is pushing for, because they will never make sense for them to spend this absurd amount of money. It just doesn't make any sense. And, I think that the bottom line is like the roughest part, because the biggest selling point for even creating the leagues back in 2013 was money. The biggest incentive for franchising was money. In both cases, there's been no money. So it's like you realize along the way that what we lost is now something that we missed because of short-term gain. And now, like Riot is just holding, like they insisted on having full control over everything, and now they are in a position where they are in control of something that is just a money sink. And now they're maneuvering around at the cost of the people that actually spent the money to make this happen. And sure, Riot also invested money in whatever, but they are the ones that have made a shit ton of money through the advertisement of the game and the skins. It's like there's nothing that was ever shared with, of course, the teams, because that money wasn't even made public. Like, we don't know what kind of money they made on skins in the top era of League of Legends.
By the way, also on that topic, that's also why the whole Caedrel angle I think is so dodgy. Because in this situation, right, notice we're not saying, oh, the reason Los Ratones can't be in LEC is because there's no more slots left and they have to buy some. No. You could make the same argument for KC. Do you want in Los Ratones? Then get a bunch of money together. We'll make another slot. We'll figure out with the teams how much it has to be. Maybe it has to be 15 million euros or something. Maybe they want you in for viewership. Maybe they also want you in. I don't know. But maybe they want you to pay your way in, right? It's already been stated by Caedrel a million times he'd never do that. He not only can't do that, by the way, he can't. His entire net worth wouldn't buy you the slot. But he won't do that, because it would be the stupidest thing ever to do with all the millions he's just made off all his hard work, to turn around and throw it into a black hole, like, as you say, that just sucks revenue and barely spits anything back out. It doesn't make any sense. So as a result, he wouldn't do that. I mean, that's why when people tried to argue as his fans, he took the EWC bag to fund getting into LEC, you are just an idiot, a flat-out idiot who doesn't listen. You don't even listen to your own guy. Never mind look at this like landscape of the industry. That was never going to happen ever. As I just pointed out, Caedrel himself, doesn't matter how many millions he makes on streaming, he would have to literally get investors to invest the 20 or 30 million with him, and he'd have to give up some of the equity of the company Los Ratones to do it. If he didn't do that, he wouldn't be able to join. He basically told you as much a million times. Now, look, you can argue he played an interesting card if indeed he ever implied, maybe I even just leave the NLC as well then. That would certainly be an interesting, because that way you sort of pressure and Riot, like if you want me in the ecosystem at all, find a way to get me into the LEC. But as I say, the only compromise I think is acceptable is you expand the league and you get to a scenario, or you do something like you take a team, could be an SK, you say, you know what, we're going to give you the whole fee back. Here's the fee. Do you want 10 million euros today? They might say yes, by the way. Here's the 10 million euros. You exit the league, right? Caedrel, you either have the slot for free as a guest spot or you pay it for 10 million, you join. Those are at least compromises. This isn't even a compromise, mate. This is some mad king going, bring in Los Ratones. Give them lands and fiefdoms and titles. Like, what are you doing, bro? Because, I saw Corpium Yamato that goes like this. They go, yeah, but they're not going to get any of the revenue. That's the greatest deal of all time. I don't pay the franchise fee, but I don't get the little pipsqueak revenue, but I get the viewership and I can sell sponsors and I don't have to pay the same. Are you out of your mind? That's the dream. Do you know how many teams would accept that tomorrow if they could take that deal? That's a crazy deal. Everyone else had to pay the franchise fee to be in the league. They didn't have a choice of that. And as I said about the expansion thing, they can't even buy in at the original 10 mil. They have to buy from whoever's selling. And in the LEC, unlike LTA, that means you get it for more. You have to pay 20 mil. You have to pay 30. That's why it wasn't a surprise to me. Falcons was the name people were floating last year before Na'Vi. They're the ones who have unlimited money. They literally pump oil out of the ground, sell it for insane money, and they can do whatever they want with it. No one has that business in Europe, bro. In Europe, they're like, hey, I hope I can sell you a new mouse for a few $100,000. Give me a break. Like that's what all the European esports orgs are. What a fucking world.
And just to make sure we have it, in the episode and to have it on record, just so everybody's in the loop. It's like when franchising came through, there was basically 2019. The fees that the teams paid was dependent on how many years they were involved in the league. And basically the fees spanned from 8 to 12 million, depending on how active you were in previous years. And it was about, like, in the LEC specifically, because that's when the rename happened. It was about, I remember it was like 90 teams that were like applying, and basically you needed to showcase and prove how your team would add strategic benefit. It couldn't be like, oh, we have money, we want to pay the spot, and that's it. Because a lot of, even back then, a lot of the UAE and Saudi money wanted to come in and just spend big wads of cash.
And there were some European teams didn't get in, mate. There were some CS teams like North and stuff were trying to buy it. Some of them didn't get to come.
I was like, everyone really tried to get in. And then along the line, it's like Misfits, like just so we have the money that was spent. It's like Misfits sold their spot to Team Heretics for 35 million, which is, that was like the peak. And then you have BDS bought it from Schalke for 22, I believe. And then you have KC that bought it for 27, where they didn't even buy the whole spot. It's like they bought the... It's like they bought it to the point where they have full ownership of the decision making, and then over time they need to still like they have the option to buy the rest of the spot, because that like level of money is crazy. It's like recuperating that from this point in time is going to be so damn difficult. And like I am in full agreement with you. Like I think if this was done today and these teams could change their mind, they would, because they are just sitting there with this money sink, and Riot is just accelerating the pace of devaluating their product, which by contrast, it's like the LTA and the LCS, there's no way. Like I'm thinking back to those decisions, because the difference is there in of course North America, you don't have the figures like Kameto and Ibai that are going to, you know, leverage their big fan base. It's like all of the owners in America are like, oh shit, Riot made this decision, I just have to deal with it. I don't have any power here, because if I complain publicly about the product I'm invested in, I'm just hurting myself here. But here, Kameto and Ibai are speaking up about the fact, because it makes me think a lot of these decisions that happen in North America, there's no way these teams were on board. It's like, yo, FlagQuest, C9, we're going to have weekdays. We're going to rename to LTA North. Like, I can't believe a person that is a sound of mind like Steve or Jack or Papa Smithy, that they're like, oh, these are fantastic ideas. There's just no way, right?
Yes. Anyway, I think we've done a good job covering all aspects of that particular drama. So you know what? If you wanted drama and you thought it was just going to be about the finals, you're eating good this week. But you know what? You could be eating good in real life with what your mum was about to tell you.
All my days you can be easily eating good. Because usually people think eating good is difficult and expensive and takes a lot of time. You need to learn how to cook. You need to find the best restaurant. You need to order and just break bank. No, it's way easier than that. You can just use Factor Meals. You know, Factor Meals, I think the coolest part is that you can customize it, because all of us have unique tastes and unique requirements. You can customize it. You can savor global flavors, which is fantastic. You can support your wellness goals, which of course, I think nowadays, the current generation is very, very conscious of what we're eating, which of course is super important. More variety, more meals. And 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. Which I think, you know, I think the shortcut always is the unhealthy foods. And you now hijack through Factor Meals that shortcut and elevate, you know, the floor of your nutrition to a point which is super good. I like the high protein meals, you know, low carb, high fat, like high protein. You can customize it however you want. Like the global flavor one is super cool, because it's like I choose like Asian meals. I like the Indian meals. It's like this, trying to remember what it specifically was. It was like this, you know, tandoori chicken. And I was like, okay, I'm looking at it. I put it in the microwave. It just tastes fantastic. I love it. I love it super much. So we have a deal for you. Eat smart at factormeals.com/LFN50 off and use code LFN50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's a great deal. That's code LFN50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast, as I mentioned before. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer, of course, only valid for new Factor customers with a code. So there's just get in there and just try it. You know, just qualifying, auto-renewing subscription purchase. There's no reason not to try it. You just hop in there and just level up your life, get tasty meals. You just pop them in the microwave. I was very skeptical. You know, I'm slow to get with times. I was associated microwave meals with something that just isn't of quality. You always saw like shows where someone like sitting in the dark watching TV. It was like the connection to like someone that is just so depressed and in a state of like loneliness. But honestly, this really blew my mind. I tried it in America, I tried it in Germany, tried it in Sweden. The quality really holds. So once again, LFN 50 off at factormeals.com. Go upgrade your lifestyle now.
By the way, I definitely agree. Obviously, the main reason a lot of us give in and order the takeaway is you can't be bothered cooking. It's like you've had a hard day or you didn't think in advance and you've only got half an hour to do so. So you go, fuck it, I'll just order it in. Also, I agree totally on the different types of meal. Like if you're doing bodybuilding, bro, the most grim thing of all time is social media where you see those bodybuilding coaches and they're like, I'm just doing my meal prep. And it's like bare chicken with like bare broccoli, just all in like 7 packs. That's all they're eating. And you're like, Jesus, man, I wouldn't do that to someone in prison. So no, this is like every day you're having a different meal. It's all, you can see the exact calorie amounts and shit. Oh, it's a baller. Yes, shout out to everyone who goes and does it. And obviously you get half off the first box. So it's nice and cheap to try out and see if you enjoy it. Right, let's dive in and get into some more tasty topics. So you know what, Yamato? This is a hard one to cover, but Summoning Insight has never pulled punches, bro. We've always addressed the big topics and the glaring elephant in the room. And I thought the KC drama, I've just alluded to it, I thought it was already crazy enough. You had the Vladi thing, you had the like fact that you didn't make Worlds, that alone's the end of the world. You had all this shit going on, and then suddenly this Apples thing comes out of nowhere. And if people don't know, Apples was one of the coaches on KC, like an assistant coach or whatever his title was. And basically, the allegations against him are that he was like leaking scrim data and results to people, that he was people allege that he was basically like messaging underage girls, or he was messaging women in the community and being like abusive about how he talked with them. Like one of them in one of the leaked DM chats, where I can't verify it's true or not, in one of the chats was like basically making it sound like he only messaged her when he wanted her to sort of titillate him so he could jerk off, and then he would just go out. That was like a real thing. One of them, basically it was implied that he sort of made it like, if you go public with this, I'll kill myself or harm myself. Somehow, I guess I should say unalive from someone on twitch.tv, but we're all grown up here. We know what it means. So, and the third detail, which unfortunately is the most damning of all, Yamato, is this detail, is normally you can go, if you're the other people in KC, oh my God, I'm just finding this out like you, like that Trump thing where that woman died. I'm just finding this out for the first time. That's terrible. You'd think that, but no, because people came forwards and said this was a pattern of behavior that was known about this guy. And at a minimum, I talked to some other people. They said at least they heard he was shady and he'd done some stuff behind the scenes. They didn't necessarily know about the thing with the women or whatever. Basically, it was a known thing, and that the sentiment in the industry was, yeah, but he is good as a coach. And he is good as a coach, though, isn't he? And in fact, Rich's Wrath, former H2K Rich, he even said he'd warned people about this person and not to sign him. I also heard some other orgs, people wanted him, and people internally were like, look, I'm not going to say why, but we're not bringing him on board. Like, that's not an angle we're going down. So this is after all the KC drama, this is just another drama bomb just dropped in at the end. People then even put this extra deal in, which I have no idea if it's true or not, that maybe he's part of Vladi's issues. Maybe him and Vladi are doing some fucking crazy shit off on the side too. So where do you want to go on this one? It's a fucking buffet. You can start where you want, mate.
No, like the messaging of like fans, that part is just fucking creepy, because like there's a power, like obvious power imbalance, and then it's like doing the whole thing like, if you leak it, I'm going to unalive myself. Like it's just like very. It's like to think about this from the perspective of, it's like most people in esports are socially very like off. Like they are very off. But this is a coach talking to players. It's like I think the standard for coaches is definitely higher, and it's like these are the people. Like I've always taken the responsibility upon myself to be like, oh, I am bringing guys. Sometimes they are 17 years old, 18, whatever. Like I have a responsibility to also be guiding them in many different ways. It isn't just as like a player, but it's also in the context of a team. It's also how you are as a person, and like how you act in general. Like, I think that's a responsibility that coaches should, of course, take, because these are guys that are leaving their family and leaving everything behind, and the only thing that they have then is the day-to-day and, of course, the team environment. And when you have people that are just socially incapable because all they did their entire life was just play video games because that's how they got good, that part is super, super important. So that part is like horrible. I had no idea that he was a fucking freak like this, or like the whole betting angles that he did. I just, like, my impression was that he was really fucking annoying and that he just wanted to claim credit always when anything happened. He's just like kind of like a social climber.
In the industry, you know this. We have plenty of people like that behind the scenes calls.
Definitely, it's like one of those like wants to climb and just network, because he was like the one running, of course, the scrims, and he was like very happy to be the one coordinating scrims.
Oh, he did Champions Q or whatever, right?
Yeah, like he was coordinating all the scrims, and I think like really enjoyed being like in DMs of all the players, of all the coaches, and coordinating it. Like I think this is the type of person that I understood him to. I was like, oh, this guy is just fucking annoying, you know. That's all. Because like I was in KC when he was in the LFO 1, and I was there for a month, and I barely had any interactions with him. But from people that worked in KC and worked with him, just told me that this guy is just really fucking annoying and so forth. But all this other shit, like the fact that it was like when Rich showed that this is something that he warned people about, like that part is crazy. That part is nuts. Like if someone told me any of this shit, I would be like, this is a massive red flag, because it's like I do think like as a coach you are held to a higher standard, because you are in a sense an educator, like a role model within a team. So that aspect of it is just crazy, and to tie it into everything that has happened to KC, it just makes us look so much worse, because KC, they hit it out of the park with their scouting. The winter split, they won it because he was so damn good individually. It's like Vladi, we were all excited about him because obviously this is a player that just was competing with Caps and was like the best performing mid lane in winter. They had a good first stand at the end of it, at least, not the beginning. And it was such a perfect start. And from that perspective, you have a bunch of young players, you have a young squad. You just expect that team to grow, get better. They haven't reached the ceiling yet. And now we know it's like through the inexperience of the coaching staff that they just didn't have the guidance on the ground, which makes tying into the whole topic of apples makes it look so much worse. It's like what a squandered opportunity the KC year has been from where they got after winter.
This is why you can't just look at the year as though all splits are equal, because KC and G2 have the opposite storylines. KC starts as they're amazing right out the gate. They win the first split. They even go to the final of the international tournament. The second split, they're pretty fucking good at team fighting still, so they can still manage to win the games even when they're not that good. They could have fucked around and maybe still gone to the finals or whatever. They didn't make another final from that. They didn't even make Worlds after that. The third split was the worst split. It had all the Vladi drama, the Niski drama, the fucking... everything went to shit. It started at the top and went all the way down. G2 started reasonably muted, got to the finals but didn't win. Second split, same thing again, got to the finals but didn't win. Third split, winning, best team, everything looks awesome, coaching staff of the year, you work your way out. You killed it, bro. You did an awesome job. So I know what you mean. This actually optically is so bad for KC. In fact, if anything, you set the bar too high at the beginning and you could never reach it again. And actually now you end up in exactly the scenario I predicted. Look, I thought Fnatic would lose to KC and KC had at least scored to Worlds. You didn't even get the bare minimum. You didn't get to Worlds. You lost to fucking Poby. And also, you're in a stupid scenario now where you're probably going to have to make a generational fumble by giving Vladi away, because it looks like that's just done at this point in time. With the mixture of the apples thing and the Niski thing, and then what he said about KC fans, bro, he isn't French. I don't think he can come back from that. I'll be amazed if he's in that team next year. So instead, here's what you're doing now if you're KC, anti-GMing. Now you're going to go, hey, Fnatic, fucking heretics, Vitality, want GX. Do you want fucking one of the best young mid laners the league's ever seen? You can have him, I guess. That's a fucking nightmare. You're giving amazing talents to your rivals. G2 doesn't do shit like that, boys. It's so rare they ever give you away. They try to make it that they've squeezed every last drop before they let you go. They don't do it while you're on the way up. You can remember, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care he played summer in 2024. Vladi is spiritually a rookie in League of Legends. The idea he could go to another squad, if you know how football works, of course you give that guy a try. Because what you're gambling on is this, Yamato. We're the ones who can make the environment that'll bring the best Vladi out, the winter Vladi. We're going to put the right players around him, the right coaching staff. We're going to do all these things. And then all of a sudden, it's like you do a cleanup job on the old car. Hey, this is like a prime Corvette here. This looks sick. I know it was a bit of a jonker before, but we replaced a few parts. I don't know fucking cars, mate. Now it looks dope. Now we're just fucking low riding, getting all the women. Yeah, exactly.
It's like Georgia Pune is the prime example. It's like he was a little bit a couple of years along his career, but I think everyone that is watching League of Legends knew post C9 that whatever team is going to join is going to be really good for him.
Great gamble.
And it's like when Georgia Pune was signed by Mad Lions, I go, damn, this is fucking exciting. Like Vladi has already showed the peaks, and the fact that his performance dipped in an environment was clearly really like bad and toxic. I do think that anyone would be absolutely like silly to not jump on this opportunity. Like you mentioned, all the teams that should. It's like Vladi. Would be an upgrade for many teams. It's like we have mentioned many times, so like if a GX gets like a Vladi, that would be massive because Jackie's hasn't like fulfilled the promise of what he could be. Fnatic could also move on this, right? There's just so many opportunities here for an upgrade. And then the other issue is, who do you get for KC? Because that's like that's also a tough one. It's like there were rumors that they tried to reach out to BDD. There were rumors that they were reaching out to Saint. But these are also like BDD are never gonna touch. That's for sure. And Saint is also comes with his own problems as a player. So that's also a position to be it's so weird because it's like I was very excited for KC this year, especially after winter, because they managed to nail it. They put together a roster of players that weren't necessarily interesting to other people, and they managed to compete and contest. So that's like the perfect sign for the LEC. But now, coming into next year, they will partially have to start over. We don't know who they managed to keep. Kalist seems to be, of course, there, but there's also a player like, imagine next year, you don't get to re-sign Kalist because Kalist is such a driven player. And then suddenly Kalist joins your competitor in G2 next year because his contract runs out, because all he cares about is winning. Then all of that momentum that you have is just squandered. So like as a chess move and the moves they did post-winter, massive fumble.
I'll give you a random name no one's thought of. Quid's going to be available.
Yeah?
Listen, if you have to pick someone up and gamble, it's not a bad player. You can bring him in.
Yeah. Humanoid return? You like humanoid return?
By the way, in general, another reason I'd love Korean players is the less English they know, the better. That's a positive if you're joining KC. If you're joining KC, don't even delete your social media. Don't speak English. Just fucking play mid lane. Do what Poby did. Get your head down and just play mid lane, mate. You ain't here to be your personality. It's not what we're doing right now. Let the fans go mad on someone else. Okay, let's actually talk about the results though, bro. So first of all, let's start there. I teased this weeks in advance on all my shows. Everyone thought Fnatic couldn't possibly do it. They're crap, so who cares? KC's going to get the third spot no matter what. In fact, maybe if KC gets their shit together, maybe they can still win the split. Maybe it's doable, right? Bro, they not only didn't make Worlds, they didn't even get to Game 5. They just got straight up outplayed by Fnatic with Poby. Like, this is what in English you call this egg on your face. It's just bad. Forget the Fnatic I've said. This is a bad look for KC. What do you think about the way their season ended?
I was just it was strange because like the biggest one that really made it so one-sided was that like Kana was heavily underperforming, and he was the one. He got completely blasted, especially in that Game 4 in the Gwen Aatrox matchup, and like that really made KC fall apart completely. And I feel bad for Kana because he was the one that kept them together.
He's one of the best players of the year, bro. He's amazing.
Like for me, he's the MVP of the year. Like if I have to pick one player, like for 2025, so for him to end like that is very sad. But you could see how KC just crumbled so damn fast when they didn't have the stability top. Because how their jungle and support played together, and Vladi just playing worse and worse, and even in this series playing pretty damn bad. like the only person that really like stepped up to the plate was Kalis, really. That one game that they won was a draft that was very Casey favored in my opinion, but also it was favored because it was a game where Sivir was really like lined up to carry that one, and Kalis delivered. And that was like the only positive we saw out of KC the entire series long, because Fnatic had a massive glow up in terms of how they actually played side lane and how they actually played the macro game. But it's easy to make that look good when you play against an opponent that is just so damn deflated. And KC, like, it just didn't look like they wanted to be there at all when they were playing this series. Like, this was a clear like view of a team that just straight up has collapsed internally, and it got to the point where we could see it just spelled out externally in the gameplay.
I also did just think it was really sad from their perspective. Like, I don't even think Kalista was that bad, but I do think that bot lane was just fucking, Fnatic bot lane's just better. That's actually one of the only things Fnatic's had all year long. And so that was obviously a danger there, because that's neutralizing one of your best players. Kalista deserves to be Rookie of the Year. By the way, him and SkewMond, I think you can't go wrong. You can pick either. They're both totally fine picks. They're both generational talents. The joke is maybe they'll both play for one G2 one day, like you said. Like, that's totally on the cards because they're just so good. But the problem is you neutralized him, and then simultaneously, little old Oscar in fucking Harry Potter of Spain, who's been banged on the whole year by everyone, just had a life series against Canna, who I agree, up until that moment, was looking like the best player in the whole year for Karmine Corp, and one of the shrewdest GMing moves. There's another one last year that was a brilliant move to bring in as a gamble. It paid off, and now it looked like, if anything, I thought he's going to go to Worlds, mate, and the real problem is he going to get bought by an LCK team? That's the question. You know, maybe you don't even get to keep him. So I think that's tragic for him, that this is the moment where you sort of look like you're the one who shit the bed. Because outside of that, yeah, they made Fnatic look good, mate. They made Fnatic look good. Let's go on to the Fnatic topic, though, because I feel like we can bridge this into the Koi series. Bro, Fnatic in the lower bracket was something else. They not only were good in this KC one, that was a winnable series against MKoi. In the actual games, like, they were in positions where it could have happened. Like, shout out to Koi, they did things like played better together. Jojo did like fucking pressure on the lanes. They had a bunch of reasons, but I'll tell you what, overall, bear in mind, I don't think anyone had expectations when Poby came in. After the regular season, everyone was like, look, you're probably going to come fourth and miss out. If you even make it to third, that's good enough. They could have been in the final, mate. That's real. And here's another detail to add to that. When Remain released his scrim results, bro, Fnatic was beating G2 the majority of the time for the last month before the finals. There was something like 1 or 2 scrim blocks that were won like 2-1 by G2. The other ones were things like 4-1s, 3-2s. Fnatic was putting belt to ass. Like, that actually was an interesting, that implies in scrims, just like they have all year, they have been demons. They are one of the best teams. They just had, but at least some of it leaked onto the stage. Now, I even saw, it's why my joke on Best Damn League Show is Poby successfully fulfilled his mission to not be humanoid. His job was not to have a big presence, not to have his own opinions about the shot calling. His job was just play like it's solo queue, just play the lane, rotate to the objective, group when we group. And I tell you what, he did it. And when he did that, all of a sudden, everyone else had their moments of fucking excellence. You know, I actually think for Fnatic, look, if you go to the beginning of the year, making Worlds and making no finals isn't very good. But if you know where they started summer, Grabs, you did it, mate. If this was really you, your gamble paid off. Congrats. You're getting a Worlds out of this.
100%. It's like I made like this the breakdown of like where I evaluate the year of the team, and Fnatic for me got like a pretty bad grade based on where they were at the beginning of the year, because they took Mickey from G2, their competitor that they lost again in previous year, got an upset. They made upgrades on paper from Noah and Jun, and this was supposed to be a year where Fnatic like won titles. But then they went through the splits and they learned nothing new, because like there's no way something that they saw between Razork and Humanoid in after spring that was like new information to the organization. It's like, oh, 5 years in, you finally realize that, you know, this is not working. But I'm with you. If you only look at it from summer, they were the only top 4 team that made a roster change. And they played a format that was complete trash for anyone that wanted to go through any form of development, because we talked about it at great length. It's like there was a period where Fnatic didn't play on stage for a 4-week period. And I was always keen on the Poby signing. I noticed like the general community was very lazy in terms of how they viewed Poby. It's like, oh, Poby got blasted when he played in 2023 when he replaced
exactly.
Vegas. Like, no,
Yeah.
but it's like,
True.
just go and check
True.
his like challenger games now. And then you could see like all he did was playing a way to highlight his jungler and play for his jungler in Vincenzo, who got All Pro in Challenger this year. Like Vincenzo is like a very, very talented player, and he was very, very good at just not like he was always on time. Like he was just Niski 2.0. That's how I viewed him. So I liked the signing, and I thought it was like a good slot in, and he fulfilled that role. Like he is so stable, and he's always like on time, and that's the only thing that Fnatic really needed. I thought that they needed Wunder as well instead of Oscarinin, because if they had stability there and they have the wild card that is Razork and Mickey and Upset, I think that they have a very, very well put together roster. But that comes back to the main issue of this series, right? I think that Elioya was so damn sharp at attacking Fnatic's bot lane, especially that game 1 with that level 3 timing gank. Really setting up his team for success. Like Elioya, like I mentioned Khan as my number 1 MVP. Elioya was my second MVP of the year because of how much he does for the team when MKoi is playing like good. I think this was a series where Elioya really stepped up to the play, and also we got a return to form from Oscarinin. Midwin like blasted him in some of these games, and that Kisantu one was something that stood out as a big problem. It's like this Kisantu just got way too fed, and Oscarinin after that one day qualifying to the World Championship, it's just he just came back to what we have seen for the entirety of the summer split. And I think this is the main problem. I did think Fnatic, especially in that game 1, even though they were super far behind, they actually kept up. They were making like good moves. Mickey was like finding good traps. Mickey was looking like he was in good form, and they fought back in the game. It was like impossible. That game was very, very tough to win, but it was a very, very competitive series. It's just that I think Midwin and Elioya was just so much better than the counterparts in this one.
By the way, if Fnatic don't end up keeping Poby, you could even consider Poby for KC. Again, no ego. There's going to be no He's never going to type into his chat, my fans are the scum of the earth. He's not going to do that, is he? You're going to let fucking Canna and the bot lane play their game, and he's just going to do his job and go, I will show good games. Cheer for me, please. He's going to be a classic StarCraft Korean. That's the best thing about Poby. And then you have to understand, his entire out of the game fucking brain powers just put towards doing all those classic Korean esports poses.
I always think, I don't know, this one, it always cracks me up. It's like, this means something entirely different for me, brother.
They mean it because of the Z thing, right? But I've always thought it's like I've been jerking off too much. That's what I always, you were thinking the same thing, it's like.
No, bro, I'm thinking this is like, I'm going to ram my fist up your ass.
Okay.
And I'm thinking this is violent.
Tell you what,
when a player is like all the down here, we know it's a confident player.
Yeah, listen, I was tickling your fucking tonsils there, mate. Come on, homie. What's going on? I know.
Yeah, it's like, the next pose, Poby, you gotta do it. It's like, just I'm gonna use you as a sock puppet. That's what I want to hear. That's new era of Poby.
Because let's flip then. We'll go in order. Now let's talk about MKoi. Bro, I actually would give MKoi a very good grade for this split. Look, I don't actually think, if you saw the way they played in the finals, they weren't really in that series. They were spent after the fucking Fnatic won. I don't think that. I also do think G2 from the beginning of this split to the end of this split was the best team. They were the best team across the board. Almost everyone's level went up. SkewMond was even better. BB was better. Even Labrov played a bit better. They had all the macro fixed. They fixed the draft. They never lost a series to anyone in the fucking playoffs. They should win. But I'll tell you what, MKoi, I'm a fan of this team, bro. I'm a fan of the coaching staff. I'm a fan of the system. I like the gamble they did for Jojo. Again, another team that split on split. Looked like they improved and leveled up and stuff like that. This is a great squad. And one thing I love about them is they show that the league and the LEC and League of Legends, the game, isn't just about stack 5 names. Like, if you look at these 5 names on paper and you ignore that they're, for example, 4 of them Spanish and worked in Malta, if you ignore that part, this should probably be the 3rd or 4th best roster. They shouldn't be winning the split. They should be in 2 finals. Like, that's actually pretty fucking good, bro. So I look at this squad and I'm like, I like this team. I like the profile. They play coherent league. I actually think that series against Fnatic, I don't think they had better players, mate. I think they actually outplayed them as a team. They did stuff like they did the right reaction to a move. They did group in the right way. They did team fight in the right way. This is a team. I know in the past, Mad Lions and Loyoya have let Europe down 1 million times at Worlds, except that one time in 2021. I would be proud to send this team to Worlds. This is a team I do think has an underdog chance to do something against, the KTs of the world, the fucking top esports. They have a shot to do like a BO1, BO3 upset, maybe.
Well, so I think just like by comparison, like we mentioned, KC and their progression is like Koi's like this alteration of Koi from where it started, where they got rid of Mac and Pad, and they went with the full Spanish mode, and they had a year where they made a final, and then they had a couple of splits that were kind of off, and then they managed to beat G2, the only team to do so in a BO5. It's like you could see that there were some qualities there that you could add to, and I think they made the best decision possible. Just to replace their mid laner in Frescawi, getting Jojo Pune in. And I thought at the beginning of the year, like when I like rated the off seasons, I thought Fnatic would be like second and Koi would be a third because they were the ones to change the least. But them landing here and progressively improving, I think it's a massive win. You also never feel like Koi at any point in time were like mentally broken or like that something was off in terms of their gameplay. There was like certain things that needed to fine tune, and it was always like a pleasure to follow along their progression. Like the main thing that I was hammered home about this summer was Koi and G2 have such a big advantage because they went to the internationals, but executing on that experience also requires skill. I think in the end, it's like we're going to talk about the finals, so I can start with G2, right? It's like G2, this is like a coaching / management masterclass to like ramp up appropriately. Yes. And really leveraging MSI and EWC to really just like a trampoline, just jump you through the summer split. Because obviously it was made easy because they had breaks here and there. It was very relaxed for them. But there's teams that wouldn't be able to execute it as well. Because if you look at KC, they went to first stand. And how did they leverage that? They really botched the landing. And that's something that is important to highlight. G2 really executed like perfectly in terms of integrating all of their players, integrating the lessons, and performing. Like if your best games of the season are the final ones, you've succeeded. Yeah, you've succeeded.
I agree. I don't even put this solely on the players. I put this on the coaching staff. Like, you guys leveled up as you went. You learned from your mistakes, which is the dream. And even better, at the end, everything blossomed. The players blossomed, the draft blossomed, the macro blossomed, the mental even was there. Think about this. This was a weird split where you had all these times where you had like a week and a half or 2 weeks off between matches and between playoffs and shit like that. A lot of teams could buckle there. They could give away their lead. Like I said before, if you're losing to Fnatic all the time in scrims and everyone's telling you Fnatic's not good, maybe that actually shakes you, makes you think, fuck, we're not actually as good as we think. Doesn't matter. If you hadn't have seen that from a min, you'd have never known that was true. They just looked, they didn't lose a series this split, by the way, guys. They went 7-0. Like, this was I agree. The players get their credit for what they did in the server, but the actual result at the end, that is why you pay Dylan Falco and his coaching staff, because he also has other people. That's why you pay them the big bucks. That's why they get the big bucks, because they don't just win because they have caps. By the way, if there was ever a year where you don't just win because you have caps, it was this year. This was an all-around, we managed the whole squad. I'm not even a Labrov believer, mate. If I was the GM, I'd probably cynically try and make a trade. If I'm here in Mickey X squad, I might go to fucking SK. I'm in Mickey X's DMs, perk style, bro. You know, do you like ice cream? Because G2 has got some really tasty ice cream next. I'd be doing all the fucking, get around the poaching rules, all that shit, bro. I'd be doing all that shit. And basically, what a masterclass. What a fucking sick job. And by the way, as of right now, there's absolutely a world where this team could get a nice draw in Swiss and fuck around in 1BO3 and make that top 8. That's plausible. I don't think they're going to do much more. I'm not going to get crazy, but I think that is absolutely plausible for what this team's built off. And another thing is, obviously, you have to survive that boot camp. A lot of teams don't. This is the team that looks like it could do it. They've got the mental. I'm with you.
Yeah, I think if like you want to dream even bigger, like a really fortunate quarterfinals draw, like if you're lucky and you face against like an LPL like 3 or an LCK 3 or something like this, and like you have good prep on the day, it's like looking at some of these teams, it's like everyone's running and facing the same challenges at a world championship. Obviously, it's going to be tough because SkewMond first world championship, Labrov,
Yeah.
and his internationals, there's history there. But the macro level that they are playing at right now is like extremely high. I think it's comparable to some of the best. But to bring back the analogy, it's like the car is looking very, very nice, but the drivers that are coming out of the Asian regions are kind of mental, So like that's going to be the main challenge because usually the players ramp up so much at that boot camp, but this boot camp is very short. It's like we don't have a lot of time at all. It's like Worlds are starting so soon. Like things are so rushed this year.
No, I know what you mean. The problem is you're like, hey, everything's going pretty well for me here. You enter the race and then across the track in better cars, you see Max Verstappen, Prime Alonso, and then Senna's back from the dead and he's just in the other car. The car's better. Like, what? I know you mean that is a bit, but if you want Corpium, I agree with you. If you got some quarter where you're playing anyone's legend, bro, I saw Weibo Gaming beat them in a best of 5. If you got Katie Rolster, you know what? It's not impossible. You could do something against these teams, mate. I agree. Actually, one last thing on the LEC. You hit it right there. Also, how glorious a storyline if you ask SkewMond. SkewMond, I believe, is a generational player. I know there's people who've been out on him or they thought he was the reason why G2 lost. Mate, he's a rookie. This is how you work with rookies. This is how you graduate. Notice how in the first split, Yamato, as an outsider, it looked like they gave him a lot of choices to what he played. He didn't go with some crazy... He went with a limited champion pool, which limited them in the draft, but it allowed him to get established. As the splits went on, he got better and better for me. And at the end, mate, if you were wanting an heir to Yankos, an inspired clone type player, if you want another generation, that you have him. You've nailed it. You've built that player up. And what a great job by the coach and what a great job by him. By the way, he does look like an inspired mate. This guy isn't just a fucking I gank people and press buttons. There's a brain that is behind that I love to watch play the game. He looks sick.
Oh, it's just like even I remember when they lost to FlyQuest 3-0. It's like the early game, like strictly from a jungle sense. If we constitute the attributes that makes a great jungler, like he was pathing in a way that made him not be punished at all. It was very, very clean. He was always in the game. Like the attributes that he was failing at are like the macro aspects, understanding how to like contest space, understanding how to play through others. And that was like the last element that they've managed to add in now in the summer split. Because we saw many games where if he was ahead, he was carrying. I remember those Pantheon games, those Zinzao games he played in Spring Split already. And like that progression has just been phenomenal. And I think the best way to conquer like finals choking, so to speak, because that's, I think you can point to that because in the finals, both that they lost, I do think that both SkewMond and Labrov did play worse. Yeah. The best way to conquer that is just to make your skill as a team just unquestionable. And that's what I feel like G2 did. It's like they made their basis and foundation so high level that they always had something really, really good to lean on. And when you're in that state of mind as a Labrov and a SkewMond, you are then going to forget about all of those losses or all of those finals that you had, especially in Labrov's case, because he has had a reputation for himself. And the symbolic gesture that as two players that, sure, they hadn't won a championship before, so they let them raise the trophy. But I think that gesture meant so much more because I think G2 as a team, from speaking to Roma, like I've had so much access to how they work because we always did like these postseason breakdowns of how they think and how they did the decisions and so forth. It just seemed like that entire team was really bought into making sure that like Labrov and SkewMond get their moment and showcase what they are capable of. Because now at this point in time, it's like the coaching staff deserve praise 100%. But also there are players like a Caps and like a Broken Blade and even Hansama to some degree that also take responsibility in what they do. And That's something that was so clear when we spoke to Broken Blade on the sack down, Caps on the sack down. It's like everyone's really bought in to make the team move forward. And they worked in silence, and they looked at them losing 2 finals as a massive failure and used that to motivate themselves to ramp up. A lot of teams, like, that's the winning mentality right there. A lot of teams make finals, they're happy. G2 took that and took it in stride and made the absolute most out of it.
Even though already last week, obviously we discussed what happened with the LPL, but there was the regional. So let's pivot, because I want to just get this out of the way immediately. IG at Worlds, baby, at least in the qualifier, at least in the playoffs. So I did it all for the rookie. Hey, the rookie. Hey, so you could take that red post and shove it up your ass. Shove it up your ass. Exactly. Sit the fuck down, Nusnacker, you little bitch. What do you know about Rookie? By the way, Rookie's worst day was better than your best day your entire life. Understand that, homie. Take that, pop it in your pipe, smoke it, choke on the fucking smoke. I can't handle all the smoke. Because you know what? Rookie is going to play Faker, your goat. And here's what I love about this. Here's what I love. Something. Oh, it's so delicious and rich. Here's what I love. There's no downside for Rookie. If Rookie loses, you already said he sucks. He's a wash. He's a choker. He was never the best anyway. So it'll be the same. But I'll tell you what, looks both ways. If Rookie manages to beat Faker when he's the reigning world champion and get him out of even getting into Worlds, brother, just turn off your monitor, because I'm going to get skywriting. I'm going to be all over. I'm going to do content. I'm going to do documentaries. You know what? I'm going to be like you pieces of shit with Messi and Ronaldo, where when one of them fails, you go, see, he was never the GOAT, even though that argument ended about like 7 years ago or something. Don't care. Rookie versus Faker for Worlds, motherfucker. Because I'll tell you what, you know what? This fucking regional played out almost exactly as I thought it would. The only difference was maybe Weibo could have beaten JDG. In fact, if you watch that series, it could have happened. Aside from that, every result's what I expected. TES just is better than IG, and if they lock in, they just clap them. That's fine. JDG versus Weibo, it could have gone to a game 5. It didn't. Weibo actually this one time didn't bullshit everyone. They actually went the other way. They started out well, and then they just shit their bed after beating anyone's legend. In a way, by the way, that's why it's deserved IG goes. They never should have been playing anyone's legend in the low bracket, you fucking rats. What the fuck are you doing, Weibo? Xiaohu, wind your neck in. It isn't spring anymore, bitch. Get the fuck back in your cage. Then you had JDG. Listen, Scout, my dude. Salute. In some ways, the worst season for me sort of there was a sweetness in that bitterness, you know what I mean? I'll take that sacrifice. As one Korean who's plying his trade in the LPL to another, just bow to Rookie, let him go to World. He's the Shogun. It's your time to commit Harry Carry, metaphorically, in a video game. And it's time for the Shogunate of Rookie to come along at Worlds. We're going to the semi-finals. Right. right.
I swear.
I told you at the beginning of the year, Yamato, if they make it, I'm going to be insufferable. I'm going to be insufferable, motherfucker.
Honestly, I got nervous, man.
If they win that SKT game, I'm going to go so mental, bro. It's going to be hilarious. I'm going to tweet up a fucking storm, homie. I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah, you know, during that regional, Thorin, I have to say I was nervous for a little bit,
Like,
bro, I was like, we've been in this place before, you know, like.
Oh, by the way, I will just add in, despite everything I just said that was all narrative based, Rookie actually hasn't played that great in the playoffs in this game. He's been somewhat carried by Gala and some in the Shine when it was in the player. True, he has, sadly, he's dipped, even though people don't know he was the second team all LPL mid-lane. I will just say that. But he didn't play great in this one. He better be better in that Faker match, put it that way.
Yeah. hopefully. It's just regionals. It's like I would deja vu too many times. I was like, oh, underperformance, and then it's like, especially in that JDG series, and then when Gala got us back with that Kalista performance, I was like, you know, it felt like the God intervened somehow. You know, God intervened and was playing through Gala somehow.
It was meant to be, Yamato. You have to understand that. Gala was put here for a reason. To be fair, he started the year playing shit. He was actually having a lot of problems initially on. I tell you what, he peaked in summer so hard.
That was like that series was just crazy from him completely. It's like Kaiser, we knew he locked it in. That's a free win. The Kalista Renata, I got nervous for a bit because it was like Rookie was getting caught, he was dying to ganks, and I was like, oh shit. And then he just popped off completely. That Kalista performance was absolutely mental. Like Pace was the one coming into this one with like better form and like looking a little bit sharper. But in the end, it's like even that final draft that they played with the Zyra and all that jazz. It's like it's crazy to me that I looked at this IG and in this best of 5 qualified into the World Championship, the best performers were Wei. Gala is expected, but like it was Gala number 1 and then Wei number 2 because this was like the best series from Wei in his IG time. So perfect time to do so. Gala and Wei really wanted to make it to the World Championship. Like for me, it's super sick. And yeah, like if there's any angles for IG versus T1, brother, it's like. It's like the T1 is underperforming. They're not performing super good. Who knows?
Get in those damn one VODs. Get in the fucking Gen G VODs. Get in there, boys. There's something. The Hanwha Life one. Tell you what, it hasn't been a great fucking month for T1. They went from basically consensus number 2 team in the world to like, will they even be at Worlds? That's a crazy drop in itself. Obviously, we did the Gen G series on the last one. No, and by the way, I'll tell you what it proves also about Wei. I have a factor that goes like this. There's a certain status you can reach, either champion, multiple-time champion, or actual legend. And if you reach that status, you should never say 100% they can never play the game again. Because if they can even resurrect for a game, if they can see a glimmer of that, people do forget about Wei. This guy's an LPL and MSI champion. Like, this is some like nobody player. Like, he's done some things in his career, and there was a time when he was considered one of the better junglers. Never the best, but one of the better junglers. So I agree. I thought the joke is, in some ways, his job was just enable other people or something. Like, it never looked like he was good. But of all the times to come good, that is the best fucking series to do it in, mate. That was the one that got you to Worlds, potentially. Potentially.
For those who didn't watch IG for some crazy reason, the way we would summarize IG this year is basically the epitome of what you just mentioned, but across the whole team.
Yes.
Can IG beat this team? Maybe. that's IG for you. Maybe.
It is worth pointing out for anyone who didn't watch the regular season. In the regular season, they beat every other top LPL team. Every single one. Now, true, sometimes it was in close fashion, sometimes the other team threw, but actually even that, if you want to project forwards, I'll tell you a reason why the IG T1 series, by the way, on all the betting sites, T1's a massive favourite, but I'll tell you why that's not as crazy. It could still be the upset. I would even probably favour T1. It's because one thing actually about IG that was really good in the regular split is, bro, they cleaned up their macros so much. They weren't playing like they weren't like fucking mind gaming people and 5D chessing. They were just doing the right moves. And essentially, if they held serve in a tennis analogy, they made you hit the unforced error, and then they would win the game off that. And that was working. And as I pointed out, look, he did betray me in the low bracket of the playoffs. Until the low bracket of the playoffs, the Shy actually like looked and went, oh shit, I've got like a contract to play this game. This isn't solo queue. And he was playing fairly reasonable, like some actually responsible laning, proper champion picks. Listen, I'm going to talk myself into the idea they're going to beat T1, and then we're going to go mental at Worlds, bro. That's the time to shine, motherfucker. Time to shine.
And if we want to do, some T1 math, T1 fans always say T1 always performs at the World Championship.
Yeah.
Well, the Shy and Rookie always perform at the World Championship too.
True.
The Shy suddenly, boom, back at World Championship, made the finals. Rookie when he goes to Worlds. Last one he was at, won it. Come on now. Actually, he didn't win 2019, but that ruins my point and my joke. But he made semis.
Come on now. Better against FPX, the winners, than G2 did.
Yeah. So there's magic there.
By the way, that's actually the Worlds everyone forgets, because, bro, if T1 had beaten G2, they were favored to, and IG had beaten FPX almost that, it would have been Rookie Faker in the finals, bro. We could have had in a Worlds. People forget that one. If I could rewind the clock, that's an interesting matchup, mate. You know what I mean? No, here's also why, if you're a Faker fan, you've built too many narratives, homie. That's a house of cards. You remember that narrative? No matter what seed he comes into at Worlds, Faker always makes at least semis. What if he gets his head banged off in the playing game, homie? What if he gets Golden Guardianed? What about that, eh? You don't want to live in that world, do you? Nah. And all I'm going to say is this, I'll tease it, right? I'm not saying that actually, like, IG is better than T1. As a team, from what I've seen this year, they're not. T1 is a better team. They're even a better cohesive team. But if I think of some of I'll do the old Season 3 attempt at analysis where you just go lane for lane. The Shy against Thorin, bro. Thorin's had some good games in the middle of the year. The Shy could get that one. Way against Order. Listen, Order wins that in a fucking landslide. If you're Way, your job is to stay out of the way of Order, you fucking idiot. You're never going to do anything against that. If you see him on the map, you go the other direction, homie. You gank the other lane. That ain't working for you. He's a demon. He will kill you dead. Rookie against Faker is actually quite comparable. Faker hasn't had the greatest summer. Rookie was great in the regular season. He had a bit of an off playoffs. By the way, the idea that T1 fans, after this playoff run in LCK, are talking shit on Rookie's LPL, brother, look in the mirror. Where's your G? Where's your goat at? He's getting his booty slapped by Showmaker, fucking Zeka. Are you kidding me? That's not even Chovy. Chovy was just waiting. So then you go to the bot lane. You know what? I'll give you the support all day long. That's the same as the gap between fucking Order and Way. Carrier wins that one. But you know what? Gumayushi hasn't looked as good recently. His champion pool looks sus, and Gala right now has burned this fucking summer. He has had pentakill after pentakill. As you say, he's got 2-3 meta champions, bro, that he just carries the game on. Like, and this is a hype matchup. This is a fucking banger. It's not them in their prime. Like I said, it's like Manny Pacquiao Mayweather. We're getting it at the end when we probably should have had it 10 years earlier. Okay. But I tell you what's better than nothing. This is going to be a fun game.
Honestly, if Riot is like including Los Ratones in like LEC for whatever reason, they should just make artificial games between T1 and IG. I'd watch that shit.
Have $1 million exhibition showdown. Whoever wins gets the million. If you lose, you get nothing.
Boom. Give me more of that.
Yeah.
T1 should win, but we are allowing ourselves to dream. Yeah.
I know what we do. Here's what we do, because it's both mean and it could also work. It's not totally mean, right? Your winner gets $1 million. The loser has to sign Scout as their starting mid laner for next year. Because that could be a punishment. It could actually work. Who knows? You know, if he turns it around, that could be good.
It's like a mystery box.
You never know, mate. You never know. Exactly. You never know. Right. Let's flip then. Let's do LCK. So LCK, we're pretty spicy, right? Because we obviously had the losers final and the final itself, right? Bro, fuck KT. KT is one of the only orgs in the history of the game that it doesn't matter what 5 players play to them. They just suddenly, like, their personalities shift back and they are possessed by the spirit of KT. Because if everyone knows what is the #1 rule, can you answer it to me? It's a bit like the rule of Fight Club. What's the #1 rule of KT, Yamato?
Just never get excited for KT,
How
brother.
you get excited? So what did they do? They only go and beat what looks like the best team ever, Gen G, who, by the way, can't even lose game 5s. They beat them in a game 5. They beat them with all these players you have no business to. You know what? Fuck it. You could win if you could beat Gen G, you can win the LCK. Nah, bruh. We KT. We traded our whole skill in that one series. We're going to get 6-0 the fuck out of the playoffs. 3rd place. And now every LCK fan's like, shit, we're sending KT. Like, it's so bad. They're so whack, bro. They're so whack. They're not good. They're not a good team, Yamato. They're not.
It's just the overperformance of that Gen G series. To replicate that, like nothing came close to that performance the entire year. To maintain that momentum, it's like I think they hit the ground running with a very, very good prep on the patch, and I'm very happy KT goes, because the next one in line would do D+, and I think that would be terrible. I'm happy to see BDD in action. I think there's some redeemable
BDD
qualities.
making it to Worlds with this roster. Mate, that reminds me of when, like, Chovy made it with Oni Deft. That might be even better. This might be the craziest one-man carry performance the world's ever seen. This is nuts. What a G this guy is.
Oh, it's just, like, for me, it's like, if there's, for the summer run, it's like, this guy, MVP, like, just straight up. But like, there's no one that was more valuable than him, even when you had performances like Keen, or like Owner, or like Chovy. It's not like that the list is like, you know, there's competition. There's
also,
good competition.
What you mean that when people do the definition of MVP as you added the most, not you're the best player. Like, Chovy's a better mid laner, but the difference is BDD had to do everything. Those players, they're all the same team. They all take turns to carry.
Yeah. It's like, as I mentioned before, it's like Kana, MVP and LEC. We have, and then Elioria. Like, I didn't even put a single G2 player on top 3 because they are carrying like equal loads. It's very hard to choose like who was the most impactful G2 player. But with BDD, it's so damn clear. Like he was, for the entire year, was just doing, like, carrying such a big load. and was always ready to go. And whenever his teammates performed like remotely good, it just like BD's performance just became so much more impactful instantly. Like he was always like lying in wait, just waiting. So I'm still hyped for KT2 to go to Worlds, but it's like after winning that game 5, they didn't win a single game. How Alive stepped up to the plate. Gen G cooked them completely. I think that the prep work and let's say they kind of adapted to the patch a lot more, because I do think that some of the drafts that of course KT got in that win were drafts that I think in the aftermath people considered very, very OP with the Prion, for example, Wukong, and some of the comments like of course we had the support Peter got to play like Rakan, and they had like very niche champions that they performed super good on, and then with that volume and that showcase, it was easy for these teams to of course pick them apart, because in the end it's like How Life and Gen G, they have the power, they have the gun, like they just have the they have all the guns, they have all the power, they have the drive, or whatever you want to call it. Like they have everything they need to beat a KT. So
the good news
didn't show much.
If you're a Hanwha fan, the good news is this: as long as someone else takes care of Gen G, you could win Worlds. Peanut, you could end your career winning Worlds, bro. The problem is, in that final, there was never any doubt in my mind, Yamato. If you don't know, let me explain to you how betting markets reflect reality in a way that opinions don't. Gen G was coming from having lost in the upper bracket, and they're coming through the lower bracket to the final. They were still a massive favourite over Hanwha Life in the final. And this is why. Because when they play Hanwha Life this summer, it's like, here boy, that's good. Sit, roll over, play dead, there's a treat. Thank you for the LCK. Like, they were never going to lose this one, bro. And I'll tell you what, I'll tell you where everyone done fucked up. I want to rewind everyone's mind for a second. Right before MSI began, here's what the narrative was about Gen G. Chovy's the best player in the world. Keen is fucking sick. Canyon, when he chooses to in the playoffs, goes ham. Duro's playing pretty well, actually, for a fucking rookie. He's turned it around. Shame Ruler's washed. Shame they've got JDG Ruler. MSI, Ruler just went like, oh shit, did the season begin already? Right, you know what? Crack, I'm back, man. I'm thinking I'm back. He did the John Wick move. Motherfucker, Ruler has just carried from then onwards, mate. Like, in this final, he had some games again, which are just like, if I'm Viper, it's like, bro, how do I get on like the second or third best team in the world and still I don't have as good a team as this guy? Like, what the fuck is this? I thought we were supposed to be rivals. Like, he just gets all the trophies. Like, bro, Ruler is too good. This team is too good. Look what it took to beat them. They barely lost some 3-2 series this summer this year. By the way, I think they got 2-0'd once by one team at like the beginning of the year or something like that. This team is too good. And every fan who goes, you said that in the past, those are different squads, you moron. It wasn't the same team. They got a different 5-man lineup. Like, this Gen G team is too fucking good, man. I don't even blame Hanwha. I don't know what you're supposed to do.
So the results also just like speak for themselves. It's like this spring and the summer format in terms of who they played against consistently and how many matches they had against the other top teams. Like they've been challenged way more than anybody else. It's like the calendar year has so much more games because of winter. But if you just isolate like spring and summer, then spring and summer is exactly what it used to be. Besides the shortened playoffs and of course. I guess 6 less best of 3s in summer because of the cutting of the groups, but like in terms of their run and their level throughout, it's just been absolutely insane. They lost to KT 1 BO5, but like we were sitting there after that BO5. It's like Gen G is still winning playoffs. It's like easily, and I think they come in to do this World Championship with legit 4 best players in that position. It's like you can make arguments for Canyon, of course. No problem. Canyon's underperformed this playoffs. Probably it's one of his worst playoffs ever. They won despite of him playing bad. But I think I can easily make the argument Canyon coming into the tournament is still going to be a fucking stud at an international tournament because that's in his DNA. If you want to argue Owner, Taza, we have very, very nice junglers that are coming to the tournament. I don't mind that. But for Ruler, Keen, and Chovy, there's no question. Duro is a clear top 2. Keria is the only one. It's like, I don't remember the last time we've had a roster come into the World Championship like that. And anything but winning will be a massive disappointment.
And
That's how good they are.
I'll give you an aspect I don't think I've ever seen in an all-time super team, like Hall of Fame type squad ever before. Do you know all three of their carries can do both, Yamato? They can be the focal point and the carry, and when it's not going well or it's not their pick, they can just chill and let the other guy carry. Even Chovy does that. Ruler has done it his whole career, by the way. And obviously, Keen is the best at that in the world in the top lane pool. Like, that is the thing that I think makes this team almost unbeatable. Like, it's not a team where it's like, right, you better get the win out of the mid laner. Oh my God, what if it's not a good meta for the Ruler? I find that it's going to be so hard to beat this team if they get to the BO5s. And also, let's add in this year, they're fucking sick in the BO5 game 5s. The game 5s have been their office. That's why that KT win is it's almost the exception that proves the rule. They're just the best.
It's like in a world where you have failures too, you need to be master of so much. And it's like, if you just look, it's like, it's very rare you go into a game and you're like, oh, this is not a Gen G draft. It's like, they play the poke champs both, whether it's Ziggs, they play the carry ones, whether it's Kai'Sa or Zeri or the long range ADs and the Jhin and the support as well. It's like a player like the Light, we think he's amazing, but he only plays the melee champs. And you have someone like Duro that can just do both. Keen is like a player that's like, oh, he might be the best Gwen in the league and he might be the best K'Sante and the tank player in the league at the same time. Chovy, he might be able to play the carry super well, the major super well, and then, oh, he can slam a mean fucking Galio too and play the engage role. It's just, for me, I hope if the World Championship goes as we predict, and it goes in a rational way, because there's no patch that is going to shake this up. There's no patch that is going to remove their strengths because of how good they are. I think, for me, on the trajectory they are, I think this might just be the greatest team of all time in the context of a year.
Yeah. And by the way, for people who don't understand how talk shows work, no, we can't wait till the end of the year to say that. Our whole purpose is to follow them week by week and project forwards what is possible. And when you're as good as this, you have to say, if you guys get it the wrong way around. It was the same with JDG. It was the same with last year's Gen G. If it wouldn't be setting the expectations right if we were like, well, they were really great, but let's see how Worlds goes. No, we're supposed to tell you they're supposed to win it. They're supposed to win it all. That's the whole point. That's why you know when T1 wins, wow, that was out of the fourth seed or something. What the fuck? Like, that's the way the story goes. So I agree with you. Right, let's flip. Let's talk a bit about, we'll do some of the Asian International thing. People might forget what that was about, and LTA. But first of all, speaking of sleeping on people, like everyone was sleeping on Rookie and IG and all the rest of it, one of our wonderful sponsors now is Manta Sleep. And this is awesome because actually, if you want to get sleep at night or get sleep during the day and have a nap, this is actually fucking awesome technology. They've nailed it because they've got it. Like, all I'll tell you is this will give you, because you block out, instead of having blackout curtains, this covers your eyes. So as a result, there's no light coming in. It doesn't touch your eyeball though, or your eyelids, which is great because the whole cop sits around it. You can also got Velcro, so you can move it around depending on if your eyes are too close because you come from a really close family, or if your eyes are really far apart because you're a Little Mermaid fan. I don't know. Whatever your situation, whoever that is, whatever your situation is, you can still put this on and have a lovely rest. And this is all breathable fabric, so you won't be all sweating your ass off. It's fucking sick. So you know what? The reason why this is a game changer is this can help you get more sleep at night when those early rays of the light of the morning are shooting through. If you're trying to have a nap during the day and you don't have some sick curtains, this is going to help block it all out. It'll get you that extra rest, that extra recovery, that reinvigoration. You know what? This will change your life, homie. I'm going that far. You know, nobody cared who I was till I put on the mask. That's you fucking having a nap, isn't it? You'll feel like fucking Stanley Ipkiss the way this mask will change your life and bring out the real you inside. Shout out the mask. Check that out. Movie 1994 with Jim Carrey and yabba dabba doo. I don't you have to do all that, but you could do all that if you get your rest. You won't be all salty and pissed off like Thorin sometimes when we do the show at 1 p.m. and he's just see IG get banged and then he's like, you know what, Yamato, fuck you, fuck the producer, let's start the show. You'll be nice and recharged. This could change your whole personality, make you a better person. I feel like I've made that as hyperbolic as possible. It's a really good sleeping mask, and you can get 10% off using the code summoning, SUMMONING. There you go. Get a wonderful Manta Sleep. Get your rest. Get your Zeds. Get your, not faker type Zeds. Get your shot eye, as we call it, and recharge. And then you will be ready for all the bullshit that life throws at you. Asterisk, it is just a good sleeping mask. Some of that might not necessarily always hold. Some of that's projection, entertainment. Some would say showmanship in some ways, Yamato. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now let's do it. Before we get to LTA, because I'm sorry, I have so little fucks I care about that league in any context. Let's just do this Asia International, because basically they're doing a competition. You can go look on Wikipedia. You can Wikipedia. You can already bet on this tournament as well. It's a tournament that's almost like an NLB of international play in Asia. It's an online cop with a bunch of best of threes, but it is seeds 5, 6, 7 from LCK. So that's like D+, FearX, Nongshim. It is 5, 6, 7 from the LPL, so JDG, Weibo Gaming, etc. And then it is like LCP team and like a VCS team or something like that. And then I can't remember if it's 2 LCP or whatever. But basically, it's like a cool online tournament, and it happens on Monday. It happens right before Worlds. It's almost like a fucking lead into Worlds. There's still some league to watch. You don't have to only go and watch EMEA right now. So I have to say, obviously, it isn't Worlds, but I still think this is fun. This gives me IM vibes, bro. I want to see what happens when D+ plays against JDG. I'll tell you what, we've all laughed at JDG all year long. What if, like, actually fucking Jun and Paige just booty slapped DK? And we're like, wait a minute, they were in the finals of the LCK Cup. Like, you know, there's so many different ones. Obviously, the LCP have everything to gain. If one of those teams makes some sort of a run over like a fucking Korean or Chinese team, that's big scalp for them. What do you think of this tournament?
I think it's super, super cool. I'm super happy that it happens. I thought that the seeding was kind of strange. The D+ and JDG and Weibo ended up in the same group.
Yes.
Because I would imagine that JDG would come in as like the number 1 LPL seed, and then D+ the number 1 LCK seed, and they're just in the same group. I did take some time because they've earned that. I took some time to look into the LCP teams, and honestly, I kind of regret it because they are not that good. Okay. They are not performing super well. It's like you have Kiaya, who's a decent player, but he's kind of elo held at this point in time. But it's just kind of, if I would summarize them quickly, it's just mechanically, I don't think they're going to qualify in these games. Like Levi doesn't look like the same player that pops off the same way. And, Gam hit a very, very big stride in the previous, earlier in the year. But I don't think it's on same pacing right now. It just isn't. For me, this tournament, though, I'm looking at, like, for me, my favorite to win it all has to be JDG. Like, I think JDG come into this as a favorite. I think the idea of Scout's underperformance in a world where the other mid laners are Vikla, Showmaker, Zhao Hu, like Doinby. It's like the mid lane pool. It's like we have a bunch of homies that have won internationals, across the board. But this should be a one where I don't think Scout's underperformance is not going to be as big of a problem as it might have been in some of the other cities they played in LPL playoffs. And I think Shun and Pays, even in an ADC pool that is quite stacked, if there's a position that is stacked as ADC, we have Leave, Pays, Diable, Aiming. Like, there's some good ADCs here. Artemis from Gamu, who's pretty damn solid. I do think that just JDG on the premise that they have Shun and Pace, and they have supporting players that are like decent enough and good enough. Xiaoshu's pretty damn solid. I think they should be winning it all.
No, I'm with you. I actually think, funnily enough, this is also what I always wanted, Yamato. I think this tournament is going to make the point for us we've been trying to make for years. Obviously, the best Korean team, usually the top 2 Korean teams are really the 2 teams you expect to win Worlds or to get it done, because Korean mid laners are the people who win Worlds, for fuck's sake. But the reason why many of us have said the LPL is a better league is because the depth of the teams. Once you get to like the 5, 6, 7, I think there's a very real chance you could have like a Weibo or JDG win this one. I've seen D+ have some fucking nightmare games, mate. I've seen them lose to fucking some bomb-ass teams who have no business doing anything. So certainly interesting. It's just a fun tournament for me. There's no downside to it. It's also online, so they don't have to leave the houses, just play from the countries. They have decent ping. It'll be a fun competition. I'm looking forward to it. Little taste, a little starter before Worlds.
It would be fun if they sent KC and like C9 to this competition. Cool. that would be real fun. I do think both of those teams. Both of those teams, though, probably just mental wrecks on the level of like Nongshim in terms of what they've been through. But still, that would be super, super fun. But this is, of course, a tournament that has been done with costs cut as much as possible, which I think is good. I we mentioned it with like the LEC. It's like I wish they played more games. Just make half of the games online. I don't think anyone would give a damn. And like the studio like was built to present some kind of professional thing, but obviously that didn't lead to shit. It should just make us watch more games, have more games, play more games. And I really like the fact that they compromised and said, yo, everyone's gonna have stable ping, everyone's gonna have the same ping. Let's play online. Let's not get bound down by these silly restrictions, because the whole point, like esports in the end, is like the advantage is that you can do shit online. So just leverage that, get a nice mix of both, and run with it.
All right, let's talk about LTA then. So basically, LTA was really about the finals, and the problem was the finals are shit. Like basically, if you even want a team to win one game in a series, you want it to be early, ideally the first one, to give you hype, right? This was already like a 2-0 fucking booty slap already. Like FlyQuest was just almost there. Like admittedly, yeah, that game from Keystars was good, the one that they won. But aside from that, like FlyQuest was just levels, but they're just too good, right?
Yeah. I think this is like Miru as a player is like a very good melee player, but like FlyQuest, I think, is just above and beyond the best. Like I made this claim already that I think G2 is the best in the West. I said it before the finals, and a big part of that is that FlyQuest is playing in a region that they have no damn resistance. It's like if they manage to win, like this is the equivalence of like if you play like a game like a world domination game, and like you start and it's like a world domination game like those Crusader King or whatever, and you're like you start in like Madagascar and then you take over the world. Like that's the equivalent of like FlyQuest being a very, very strong team out of North America right now. It's like the conditions are not there for anything to grow. Like you like there's no water, there's no nothing, there's no nutrition. Like it's like the fact that they've managed to get this good is already impressive, and the fact that the bootcamp is going to be so tight and is going to make their worlds run and worlds bit very difficult. But here, I think anything that FlyQuest lose, or whenever they like, I think it's anything that happens in the game is something that they give away. Nobody takes anything from them, and I think it was the same thing here. I do think that it's really, really funny because something that we can talk about, Thorin, is the fact that they are reverting back to, of course, LCS and CBLOL, which is so damn hilarious, because in that news, they also, of course, highlighted how many world spots in terms of the distribution that LTA is going to get 3 and CBLOL is going to get 1. And obviously, that has massive implications on the potential changes to the world format in the future. But at the same time, now that you have a Brazilian team beating 100 Thieves to make the finals, it makes it even more awkward. Why does LTA not have more spots?
Are you ready? There's 2 angles on this that people still haven't noticed if you're an LCS, old school LCS fan. One, you do know Trimby's going to Worlds. He was on Keystars, guys. Trimby's at Worlds. Like, that's it. That's real. Ahead of all those European, Karmine, Corp, all those. He's going to be at Worlds. And then secondly, the guest slot team of the LTA North is at Worlds. They're not even a fucking real partner team. This is like the nightmare fuel of Los Ratones. Like, that world, they're not even paying the money. They got paid out and then came back. Like, you know what? Like, I used to be married to you. Now you're my ex-wife. You up? Yeah, I'll fuck you tonight, but get the fuck out after that. I'm not seeing you after that. I'm not buying you dinner anymore, bitch. From the board, whatever. I got listen. I take the mask off again. That wasn't the real me. That was the real whatever. Listen,
it was Lance.
Yeah, it was. I was channeling Lance Armstrong. Also, that was a hypothetical bitch. You don't even know who that is. Maybe that was a woman who was really horrible. Who knows? In this analogy. Anyway, no, I agree. That makes the LTA look like a clown show. And quite frankly, this is how whack they all are. Riot themselves are bragging about the fact that they're like, it might change or whatever. Why are you bragging? You're the one who changed it. Asked for this. Like, you know, one thing I hate, people are trying to donk on Monty, because last year on this show, he kept building up the idea this would happen. He'd merge CB, LOL, and LCS. So they're going, aha, Monty, how did that work out? Well, they didn't do it, you dickhead. He meant into one league. He meant have all the Brazilian fans watch the LCS and the teams all play in the same league. So that as a result, the LCS was stronger. They didn't do that. They did, like, in name. This is like, no one asked for this. No one asked for the split conferences, and then sometimes you play each other, and then there's only one spot for each. Like, no one asked for any of that shit, bro. You added that in, Riot. You cooked that gumbo. We just said we wanted dinner. You cooked us a bunch of shite. You were like, oh, you want gumbo, do you? I'm going to put a dead rat, an old boot. I've just been sick in there, and there's a little bit of paprika. What, do you like gumbo? I thought you said you loved gumbo. Yeah, I like it with real ingredients, you fucking idiot. Like peppers and fucking chicken and stuff, and something delicious. I know it's like trash like this. So the idea you're going back is already whack as fuck. Also, what have you done to CB LOL? You basically asked them to move in with you and leave their fucking husband they already had, and now you're like, actually, same word, Lance Armstrong, get out, B. Hit the bricks. You're throwing all their clothes out the window. What are you doing?
They also took LLA. They also took LLA out the back. Yeah. And now there's only 2 teams left.
Mate, they cut a lot of jobs. Me. There's a match going on, Yamato, tonight, and this drives me crazy. Tonight, there's an LTA North promotion tournament going on. There isn't an LTA North. Why am I playing these games? What are we doing? Eastro with Summit and fucking Ghost. That's right, Ghost. From fucking Damwon, they're playing in this tournament. Do you even win anything? It says you get into LCS if you win it. Okay. By the way, I'd love the idea of Summit and Ghost through Eastral fucking LLA get into LCS again. And Summit's like, I'm back, baby. Hey, Licorice, get over here. The fucking Scorpion, this motherfucker. Listen, I'm a Summit stan. I'd love that angle. But what even is this? We're playing tournaments for leagues that don't even exist anymore. Like, what are we doing? What is this?
I don't know. It's like, can we like, who do we blame? I need somebody to blame, Thorin. Like who is responsible? I don't know. Like, the wizardry of Riot is their PR. I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's like
they always spin it like it was the right move. They're like, oh, did it not work out?
Their
we
PR,
agree,
bro. Their PR is insane. Their PR is the GOAT. It's like even the fact is like the big like lawsuit that happened in like LA and all. It's like, bro, the PR, that the outcome of that is like, it hasn't had a ripple effect on the community at all. No. Like their PR, they are doing ninjutsu, bro. Like their PR is insane. In fact, it's like the crowd erupted at the venues. Oh, LGS! It's like, who the fuck took it away? You can't give that person credit. That's like some Stockholm syndrome shit. Like that's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. It's like we go back and they're removing the connectiveness and like a lot of people
their PR guy, literally, he doesn't even get depressed. He just has the craziest mental ever. And no matter what shit they feed him, even if it's like, the thing you said a minute ago, say the opposite now. He just goes like, yes, boss. Looks up, his fucking Gias eye just shifts, and then he just fucking hypnotizes everyone like, yeah, this is good that we changed all the shit we just changed. Like, what? How did that work? How the fuck did you sell that? This guy's fucking insane, bro. It's nuts, innit? I know.
Oh, man. And it's like the viewership numbers that were reported were like, everyone saw this coming. Like everyone, nobody's surprised, which just feeds into that conspiracy theory that we had before, from that one question asker. It's just, are they intentionally just tanking the franchise league? Because, like teams left, they didn't want to pay the slots. The value of them went down to shit. And then you have FlyQuest, C9, and Team Liquid sitting there. It's like, we paid this amount of money and we're trying to keep it afloat. It's like, save us for the love of God. It's like, I feel so bad for those teams. It's like, I feel bad for the LC teams now because of what's going on with Los Ratones, but I feel even worse for those guys. FlyQuest, C9, Team Liquid, these are good orgs to have in the ecosystem, and they're just being completely shat on with the management of the LCS and the LTA. And I imagine it's the same thing there. I doubt that, like I mentioned it already, I doubt these guys, they're very smart people. They're good CEOs running these companies. I doubt that they agreed to a lot of these changes that occurred. They just kind of went with the flow. And I think they're hoping at some point that, please, let us merge with the LEC or let us connect with something else because we're drowning over here.
I'll give you a conspiracy theory. I think it has to be the owners of the LTA North who pushed for this. And here's why, Yamato. I paid that franchise fee and stayed in your league just to get less world spots. Bro, the minimum I wanted was the fucking world spot so I can activate my sponsors. I can go to the tournament and have all our fans there. By the way, what if it's a year when Worlds is in America? Well, I have to be like top 2 and not lose a fluke game to a LTA South team, or then I don't even go. If I'm Cloud9, nah, fuck that. I'm in every other esport, mate. I'm out. Cash me out. I'm done. I spent millions on these rosters. This is fucking clown shit. So, but the other problem here is this. They keep doing this, Yamato. They experiment with something, it fails. They go, good news, we're changing it back. It's like, okay, but how does that ever make us go up, though? Like, maybe we stem the bleeding, but how do we go up? Like, here's an obvious problem you have if you bring back the LCS, right? Why would it being called the LCS make any big other orgs buy in? Is TSM coming back? Are any of these teams coming back? Is it still just going to be Disguised Toast wins this playoff and gets into the... What are we doing? Like, because you can change the name, but the name... Let's be real. The name alone isn't why people quit. I think part of it is just that people who were in their brain, I'm an LCS fan, were like, maybe that's the last straw. But it wasn't just being called LTA that made it suck. You also had one of the stupidest formats I've ever seen over the year. I mean, this is some of the dumbest shit ever, some of these splits, mate. They were nonsense. It's like it's between the LEC and the LTA, they had a competition to have the worst formats ever. And then even I'll add in that spring thing where there was no final in LCK. What an atrocious year for scheduling tournaments and formatting them. The only one that had a good one was the LPL. The LPL just nailed it, bro, from beginning to end. Awesome format. Didn't change much. Same shit. Did he enjoy it? Of course I did. Enjoy. That's right. Nice. These other ones are just changing the shit for the sake of changing, mate. You're just changing your outfit for no reason and hoping it changes who you are as a person.
Is LPL the only region that Riot is not controlling?
That's the interesting detail. It's implied that because they're China, they have to sort of stay hands off, right?
Because if Tencent is just running like the LPL and deciding everything, like that would be like I don't know for a fact.
Yeah.
So I'm just floating the question, but it would be something interesting to
by the
navigate.
way, miss me with that whole excuse of like, well, we had to do this format because we need to use the studio for Valorant. I'm not watching Valorant, motherfucker. I'm watching League of Legends. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? If you told me that you were going to ruin the Premier League season so that the rugby league could have the stadiums, get them the fucking watch rugby. That's not a good excuse. That's actually, you're just bragging about your failure. What are you talking about, you idiot? What are you doing right now? We're spending millions on this shit. You can't rent a venue.
Honestly, I should sit down and make like a compilation of all the statements and the rationalizations of some of the changes. It should be good fun to read the statement when they rationalize putting the LCS games on the weekdays. Reading through that must be hilarious.
It's always presented as the obvious and smart move that's definitely going to work. And then they quickly revert because it doesn't work at all. And it all goes to shit. And then even worse, like you're saying about the PR guy with his fucking Gias activated, they then gaslight you like, hey, it's back to what you used to love. It's on the weekends. Like, you just told me that was the problem. You told me 5 minutes ago that's why the viewership was down. Well, now the viewership's down for a different reason. Fucking hell. I'll tell you what, you know Riot Games' logo, you're going to love this, Yamato. You know, it's a fist like that. If anything, I want them to Poby their logo. Their logo should be that. Because this is you, Cloud9. You started like that. You kept pure. That's fucking the LCS, mate. That's the LCS. That's the LCS right there, motherfucker.
Aye.
You're just a fucking puppet. Welcome to the LTA North. And then they're just like, meanwhile, Cloud9's just walking it off like a fucking old gunslinger. That wide stance wall. Whatever, bruh. That was more entertaining than anything that happened in LTA this year. Actually, you know what? I think we need an apology on this show. I used to believe, this is what Summoning Insight was about, the games and the quality of the league played is what carries the show and carries league itself and esports. I was wrong. This year it was ass in the LTA. Do you know what actually carried the LTA? Bwipo. Bwipo, come forwards. It's like the end of fucking A New Hope. Receive your medal. You get, obviously in this analogy, he would beat you back who didn't get a medal, but he gets a medal anyway. Get your medal. Just your stream and the shit you said in interviews carried this motherfucking region on your back, homie. You're just this dumb shit that came out of your brain. One neuron misfiring and then in the mouth going, I'm going to send that out like that. That was like 90% of the entertainment of this league, mate. Like, it's what's been on this show. We barely talk about the games. You just wreck them all, don't you? But tell you what, that was pure banter. Pure banter. Love it.
Bro,
I actually low-key do love it looking back.
Is that Monster Eye with the PR guy is also like just staring shit, you know? He's got a hand in this too, you know? He just knows the right questions to ask the right players at the time in their Twitch channels, you know?
Yes.
Now, this year has been so strange. It's like it doesn't help the C9 completely shat the bed too, you know? Because
I still want to see that roster at Worlds. They had potential.
At least, you know, in a world, at least we are in a scenario where Shopify Rebellions don't go to Worlds.
That's true.
Because that's good.
Oh, bro, you know how bad it would have been if Paula Fox was like, oh, yeah, I made it to Worlds. It's like, did you even do anything? You were just sat watching 4 people make it. What the I agree. Get that the fuck out. And also, low-key, as mentioned in past episodes, I just low-key don't like that Ludwig guy, so he can shove it up his arse too. He's a quarter of Shopify people don't know. He can get fucked as well. See your peace. Sayonara, bitch. Lance Armstrong there. He's a man, so that's okay. Actually, I said that, not Lance Armstrong. I said that. I don't know what Lance's feelings about Ludwig are.
Nah, it's like also, I don't know if you've seen, but like the Brazil fans are fucking angry. And understandably so. It's like,
you know what, Yamato? I'm somewhat familiar with Brazilian fans being angry in esports, but yeah, actually, I've seen it a few times, just here and there, you know.
Yeah, it's like I always look at the context, you know. It's like the same. It's like people like when KC fans got angry about what's going on with LEC. I'm like, guys, KC fans can be very fucking obnoxious and annoying, but we gotta look at it for what it is. And the CBLO fans being angry, it's like, yeah, you just took a big shit on everything that we've built up. And now you are giving it back to us in a worse form. It's like, nice, thanks. And we only get 1 world spot. After all of that, we just beat 100 Thieves. Yeah. Only 1 world spot.
I don't blame them. Again, I'm on their side for once. Holy shit, what an episode. Kibeto and the Brazilian fans.
Holy.
That's a fucking Suicide Squad type project right there. You might all the villains have to work together to save the day. Fuck hell. Man alive. What's going on?
It's like if someone makes that, you know, like those Wikipedia articles that like present like a war and you just have like one side.
Exactly.
The most confusing names ever, you know.
What a coalition. What a coalition.
Lee.
Right, I think we've done a good episode. I think what we do now is do a little break, come back, do some viewer questions, and then obviously the next episodes will be about the Asia International. It'll be the hype episode for Worlds. We'll do a big preview. So let's go away and come back for some viewer questions. Right, we're back for the final segment of the show. The last ever LTA viewer questions, whatever. Enjoy it, boys. This one's real. It's been real. So if you want to ask a question, subscribe to the Last Free Nation Discord, and then there's a channel where you can submit a question. And if you're like, wait a minute, that costs money. Yeah, like LEC spots, dickhead. Learn how money works. Get out your fucking parents' bedroom. Stop mooching off them. Pay for your own cereal and fucking tacos. And then jerk a real job. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Go and work in a factory. And then go and fucking ask a girl out and marry you, you fucking degenerate bastards. Anyway, welcome one and all to the viewer segment. Even if that doesn't apply to you, I will now take questions from the viewers. In other words, my least favorite part of the show. Nah, it's actually not bad sometimes. To be fair, we get some good questions. I feel like the money aspect keeps out a lot of the retards. You know what I mean? So, this fucking hell, we're starting hot here, Yamato. Like, you're going to see, we've gone from talking about, you know, like Twitter drama to listen to this. Spooken says, question, what does the word soul mean to you? How does that meaning change dependent on context or topic? Context for question. Having had a series of discussions with a close friend about spirituality and faith, this one word kept substituting many things on both sides of the conversation. What do you think? Do you have an answer for that? What does soul mean to you?
I would just associate it with consciousness. I think in terms of like your relationship to the impact of your actions beyond the short term and how it shapes you is what I would associate what a soul would be in that context. Like basically your consciousness. Because I would think someone that is a psychopath or a sociopath, that I would see them as like soulless. And I think that people that feel bad and have shame and understand the consequence of their actions and have like a moral compass that is tied to what your soul is, because we aren't just like eating and fucking and that's all we're doing, right? I guess there's more to what the human experience is. So that's how I would define it.
Yeah, I would actually say a bit like that. I don't think it's as simple as I think some people think a soul is who you are, and then your body's just your body, and you're just like in the Matrix. You go like teleport into a person, pilot them, and then teleport out. I think the idea is that the soul is part of who you are. You have a part of you that is like somewhat like an animal. It's the part that's in the material world, but it's guided by the higher part of you. Which, if you notice, that's when people talk about the soul. It's the idea of aspiring to your highest ideals, the best that you can be, connecting to something beyond the physical, like you're saying, just the material and pleasure. That those are things of the body and the lore aspects. They have their own aspect, by the way. Enjoy that, have a family, enjoy food, enjoy exercise. Obviously, don't go too far with it, because I would say something similar. When you go too far into the material, you will lock off or lose sight of the bigger part of you. And I do think I think essentially it's obvious to see, mate. I don't look down on people who are atheists. I was one myself a few years ago. I think it's part of a journey of doubt and faith that you go through, discovering what faith is. But if you ever talk to an atheist, there are very few of them that to me sound enlightened. They sound like they're not accessing a part of themselves that believes there can be something more. They do think it's just we're in a 3D world and that's all there is. All there is who can you kill? What can you do? Do people care about you? Are you having a good time? That's why they often lean towards hedonism, which is just pleasure and what feels nice, etc. I think essentially, to be a full human being, you've got to unlock some concept of this, whatever it means to you. And it's why, if people talk about religious and mystical ideas like communing with God or something bigger than yourself, that's the idea that your soul does that. That's what can connect to that. As a human, there's no telephone you pick up. There's no thing you speak through and it talks to God. It's the idea that some other part of you do. And then lastly, I would say, if you want to get a sense of how can I feel that I've got a soul? I think that's where intuition is, mate. For me, intuition is like a different part of you sort of going like, hey, look at that. Look at this pattern, or hey, go that direction. I think that's what it is. So it's a bit vague, but again, we're using words to describe super fucking deep concepts here. It's hard to unpack.
Just a question to you, Thorin, because what is the difference between an atheist and someone that is agnostic? Because is atheist like taking for granted that there is no higher power?
Yeah, I have always taken it as this. There's a mistake people make, which is, if you notice, most people don't actually have agnostic as a category. They have two categories. It's a binary and it's a dichotomy. You're either you believe in God, or they say an atheist is just someone who doesn't believe in God. I actually don't think that's even true. I think that an atheist is someone who says there is no God. I need real world material proof of a level I accept. Otherwise, I'm saying not that I don't know him or I don't know what it would be. There just isn't one. To me, agnostic is a way more reasonable category. I notice most agnostics feel like they're a bit like me, actually. They think that there is a God, but he might not be a specific one of a religion. Like he might not be Muslim or Christian or Judaism or whatever, Hindu. There's a million aspects, obviously. I think they're more like, some people just think it's that you can't ever know him. He maybe just exists separate from us. He doesn't communicate with us, or the universe is unknowable. It's too complicated. The analogy always is, if you met an ant that said, oh, I think I can understand what the nature of the universe is, you'd go, you fucking idiot, you're an ant. That doesn't seem that silly. I think when you've had certain religious concepts in your mind of how a human is, I think it is quite hard to think that a human can really access full knowledge of what life is, what humanity is, what universe. I think those are crazy concepts to think you can understand just because you can do something like make a wheel or write a cool poem. You know what I mean? I don't think that hits it. So I have to say, for most people, they think atheists in the middle. I think it leans a little bit more to the religious side. My thing is, I actually describe myself more as a mystic. I think you can experience God or some higher consciousness, but I think you can do it directly. I think a path is to do it through religion, but I think you can also do it yourself. I think you can do things like prayer or meditation, that you can do different rituals, and you can do all sorts of things. And something is there. I mean, I've told this story in the past. I won't go into too much detail. One of the things that opened my mind to this was using psychedelics. I've used hallucinogenic drugs where I notice I don't call them hallucinogenics. I don't consider it just your brain misfiring, hallucinating. I had experiences where I had thoughts and things I'd never considered, and it felt the most real thing I've ever felt. It felt more real than any cool idea I ever had that made a lot of sense in real life. It's why one of the things I've done in the last 5 years of my life is my God used to be rationality. If something makes sense, if you can quantify it, if you can do a scientific experiment that repeats, well, what I learned was that is an aspect of life, but that's actually very mundane. That's like just the material world of how do you make, like, a lever can move something, a wheel can make you move faster, you can lift weights using a pulley. Those things are great for rationality and reason. Rationality and reason are terrible for things like figuring out personal relationship dynamics and love and what it means to be a human and purpose and a connection with higher qualities. You'll never find that. It's why if you're the guy who goes, well, if God exists, have him talk to me right now in this way. Yeah, but you're not actually even being fair with how you say that. You mean he has to appear as an old man and in English say to you, I am God. This is the thing. I think if God communicates with you, he does it through all the aspects of the world. He sends someone to you at a time in your life when you're in need and you want something. Something happens to you where something terrible in your life, suddenly you focus on the right things, and suddenly there is a life preserver thrown in the water, and you can grab onto it, and it keeps you going through hard times, etc. That's what I actually saw before I had my own sort of awakening. I saw that no matter what people who are atheists thought, where they dismiss all religion as con and you're stupid and an idiot. I saw that, no, actually, when people get depressed and they're in the lowest moment of their life where everything's going bad and the world is against them, atheism doesn't provide them a sort of respite or a place to retreat to. It doesn't build them back up. It actually basically tells them, it's over for you, mate. You lost the game. Whereas I did see people, even in religions I don't believe in, who did have something that kept them away from going to degeneracy and drugs and things. It kept them from being a bad person because the world hurt them. It gave them something to hold on to and to build forward. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, it's just I feel like being an agnostic is like a rational conclusion, because I think keeping yourself grounded and humble in what you don't know and what you don't understand, because certain things have moved forward very, very much. And I think especially with religions, like most religion that is tied to history, I think in a lot of the arguments that occur is against it is always in the context of reading it like verbatim and then seeing it for what it is, too literally. And usually it's like knowledge that is transferred, and sometimes knowledge that is accrued that no longer is like applicable to today's standard, and maybe something that was useful in the past. And I understand when someone says this is what God is, and this is stories of God appearing and so forth, why someone might not believe that. But I do think that there is so much things that we don't know, so we can't take anything for granted. Because even in a world where people say that, like, let's say we are in a simulation, and this is just like we are experiencing a supercomputer. Like even in that context, the person built that computer would be. Would be God.
By the way, that's even a thing I had an epiphany about a few years back, because they did that a million times on the Joe Rogan podcast. When Duncan Trussell, that guy who does all the psychedelics, would come on, him and Joe would geek out over the idea of simulation theory. And they'd go, listen, man, if you take the story of Genesis and you replace the words God for programmer and the world for simulation, and then suddenly they were like, it makes sense, bro. And it's like, no, bro, you haven't changed it. All you're showing is that you have an aversion to what the symbols of Christianity are. When you see Christianity, you go, that's nonsense, that's bullshit. It's the same thing people used to do in the 60s, Yamato. They would go, religion is all bullshit, Christianity is bullshit. Ooh, Buddhism. And then the idea Buddha says the same thing Christ does, but suddenly they accept it it's through a different lens, a different face. So no, I'm with you. I do think so. I'll give you an example. I also don't think God directly speaks like a human. I think he speaks to your mind and your senses through other means, and you come to the conclusion through your free will. I'll give you an example. right? In theory, if you're going to coach, you could say that's a very scientific discipline. You know, you have methods and techniques. You have like direct communication. You could just, a naive fan would think the best coach just tells the player, this is what you did wrong and here's what I want. No, the greatest coaches of all time in sports use the other method. They go around and they say things in the press and they say something over here and you think you came to your own conclusion. You don't know. That guy's a genius. That's why Mourinho and Alex Ferguson pop a bottle of fucking wine after where you all go home and go, played him again. Another championship. I'll give you a story. When Alex Ferguson was the manager of Manchester United, he had that team where he had Rooney, who was at his peak. He had Ronaldo, who was getting mega. And if you remember, he had that player, Nani. Do you remember that guy, Nani, who was like a stylish player? Right? There was a game where Rooney told this story recently. They came in and basically Alex Ferguson, even though they'd won the game, Alex Ferguson goes mental on Rooney, going, you're fucking dribbling too much. Like, what do you think you're doing? You're taking extra steps everywhere. And the whole time, Rooney's going, looking to his left and his right, and he sees Ronaldo, who used to do 1 billion step overs, and he sees fucking Nani, whose whole shit was like, whoop. And he's thinking, what? Because these guys do it more. Do you know why that's genius? Because who says Alex Ferguson was trying to talk to Wayne Rooney there? Maybe that's the way he was talking to Nani and Ronaldo. Because do you think they weren't thinking the whole time, Jesus Christ, that's my whole game is fucking 1 million dribbles. If he's going in on Rooney, I better fucking sort my shit out. That's genius. That's genius. That's an indirect way to get the message across without ever having to say it to their face. That's what God does, in my opinion. Anyway, basically, I did just give an analogy of Alex Ferguson being God there. He would appreciate that, at least.
I like the image of like people that are like failures in life. It is like God just didn't know how to coach you.
No. So, by the way, that's a good analogy. It isn't always God's fault. You know, people go, well, why is there badness in the world? Some motherfuckers are uncoachable. You know what? There's some self-mades out there, homie. There's some guys who are just going to do it. Self-made's like Kane or something, mate. He's just doing his own shit, you know. He's on his own bullshit. He's on some, what was his name? He's on what was that guy's name? Nimrod. He's on some building his own tower shit, mate. He's just doing his own jam. Anyway, I like the way we started. Like I said, we started with that question. And Bible class. 20 minutes of Bible class. Right, to go into a more classic fan question, Nadnurb says, is Chovy the LCK GOAT? In 16 splits, if you include LCK Cup and this springer's splits, he has finished top 2 13 times. The 3 times he missed the final, he finished third, fourth, and missed the playoffs once. He also has the most season MVPs, 4, and all-pro selections, all 11.
Oof.
What do you think? Just of LCK, is Chovy the GOAT?
I think it's like I need that point of comparison, right? It's like I'm really happy that he gave us all the data on Chovy, but I need to have like that point of comparison.
So Faker has 10 titles. He has 0 MVPs because he has the OGN Champions like final or whatever. But in LCK, Faker never won the MVP. If people don't know that, he'll have been all pro a bunch of times, first and second. I'm sure many. I doubt as many as Chovy necessarily, but I don't put it this way. If you want to make it only LCK, I'm not sure who would necessarily be better.
Yeah.
I think that's why making LCK not overall GOAT's not a bad angle. Because surely even the T1 fans, isn't there copium now? Like, who cares about LCK? Isn't that kind of what their angle is, you know?
I think, honestly, it's like Chovy has been so damn good for such a long time. To think about that, it's like they just hit the ground running with Griffin from the get-go. Even to think about that and to know that he was extremely competitive on the DRX and how alive he is before he got to the super rosters on Genji. It's like I think it's a worthy conversation. I would, if someone told me that, I don't think it would be crazy. I can buy that.
Put it this way, there's actually an NFL analogy I'll quickly give, which is a lot of people might not know this, but even some old school Tom Brady fans who think he's the GOAT of the NFL will tell you the regular season GOAT quarterback is Peyton Manning, his rival, because Peyton Manning, every season his teams were like playoffs mega. He won the most MVPs. He had won the most all-pros. He had all the records at one point in time. His problem was, a little bit like Chovy earlier in his career, he'd often like choke in the playoffs, or he'd have the big letdown when he was a favorite, you know. But in the regular season, every season he cooked. In most seasons, he was better than Tom Brady. It's just Tom Brady had all the clutch moments. His teams won all the playoffs. They were in the finals way more. Now, this one's actually, I think, even more skewed. That was just a point of contrast. As he says there, Trophy's record, like if you look at overall regular split and playoffs, it's unreal. Like the flaw this guy brings to his game is bonkers. Even Faker doesn't have that, in my opinion. Because remember, I've seen all of Faker. Yeah, he had a couple of years he was unreal, the best player, but not this level of longevity. I mean, think how many years in a row you can just look at a regular season and know Trophy will be a top 2 mid, if not the best mid. I mean, remember, you could even go back to those Griffin teams. People forget they used to just skip straight to the final by being number 1 in the league. They were fucking rookies, boys. They were making all the finals. He was in the final against KT, then he was in the final against like Genji or whatever, T1 twice or something like that. He was in all of them fucking, it was nuts, bro. So, no, I do think if you want to say only LCK, I think he is the GOAT of it. I'd still give Faker probably the overall title because championships, people care about worlds. I mean, but then again, also, let's see if he wins this world. Right, next question. Wait there a second. For some reason, this guy continually submits this question that's like mad inappropriate about Whippo. So I'm never going to read that one. So it's all good. Right. Jiro Taku. Here's one. Any fun stories of people getting into esports later on in life? Can you think of any?
People that got into esports at a later point in life. I guess it's just like what I mentioned. It's just people that went into like big CEO positions and GM positions. I'm thinking of like a person like Jack from C9. Like he got involved in marketing of TSM, and or like a Papa Smithy that was like a school counselor. Like that had like some experience in life before they jumped into things, but the majority of people that I've interacted with are just like the lack of the right skill set ran deep in esports for a very long time. There were people in ownership positions and GM positions that really shouldn't have been there, and that is slowly getting filtered out. But other than that side, nothing like really stands out to me.
All right, I'll give you 2. So this is going to be weird, but again, what a weird fucking question. I have to think of people later in their life who got into esports somehow. So I'll tell you one angle that's an obvious one to me, is when people's parents get into it because of people being a player or being a thing. So I've got a few stories for you, right? For some weird reason, Yamato, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not like that. All the mums love me. Everyone's listen, hide your wife, hide your kid, don't let your mom near me, mate, because I'll win them over. I don't know what. I've got this crazy bad boy charm, but I'm sort of funny, I'm invited. I don't know what it is, mate. The older women, tell you what, they just fucking love them some Thorin. So I've known a bunch of people who were mates of mine in esports, and bizarrely, their mums just start being like a fan of mine. So I'll give you an example. You know the Counter-Strike commentator, Sadikist, the Canadian guy from a few years back, he used to cast with Henry G, right? His mum has nothing to do with esports. She was just a fan of watching esports because he was doing it. But then, for some reason, again, she also liked me and my personality. So she would send messages through Sadikist Matt, like I would be at an event, and she'd go, and he'd come up, and I'd be talking to him because I was mates with him, and he'd go, "Oh, by the way, Mum says, why are you wearing that blue blazer on Sundays? You should really wear like the grey one. It's like making your eyes pop more." And I'm like, "The fuck are you talking about?" And he's like, "I'm just the messenger, bro." So already there's that one, which is like, all right. Then there's the one where Semler, if you don't know, Semler, the other commentator in Counter-Strike, who was Anders' partner, the guy he lives in Sweden, but he's American and half French. Because he's half French and American, his mum is American. I think she's like Southern or something. And his dad is French. I've met both of them. And one time I was doing a call with Semler, and he put speakerphone on, and his mum was there. And his mum just started talking on the call, like, "Oh, hey, is that Duncan or whatever?" And she had some like Southern twang to her accent. And all that, listen, I wasn't trying to be weird. I was just like, well, it's a beautiful accent you have there or whatever. And it's like, I don't know why, bro, but I was just winning this. I was winning them over. And then lastly, one time when I was at an event, I think it was at like ESL New York in CS. At the time, Team Liquid was on the rise. And I'm trying to think which player it was. I think it was actually Elige. I think it was Elige's mum was there. And this is when Elige was quite young, he was like 17, 18. And his mum came up and said, can I have a photo with you? I'm getting photos with everyone at the event. So I was like, yeah, sure. And I took a photo, and then the second she finishes taking a photo and walks away, Team Liquid manager and all these players are running up to me like, hey, what are you going to do with that photo? Don't make fun of her. Don't be mean to her online and banter her on Twitter. And I was like, wow, did I ever do that to someone's mother, for fuck's sake? Like, I am this is an act. Like, it's fucking wrestling. That would be like if your mum, the fucking John Cena, be like, don't do your finisher move on her. Like, it's a fucking ban. Why would I do that? So there you go. There's some people who got into esports. And technically, Yamato, are you ready for the punchline? You're thinking, what a weird connection. I am esports. They got into me, Yamato. Listen, bro.
Well, you just got these mom stories like just ready on your wrists.
What you're learning right now, Yamato, is something many people before you learned. Dom learned it. A whole bunch of people learned it. What is this? Is I have put a lot of time, mate, into mastery of podcasting. Like, someone could throw me a fucking theosophical question and I could just go 20 minutes and fucking, as always, prepared material. Like, yeah, I just pulled that from the memory bank. It's all good. At least that's what I'm pulling from the memory bank about people's moms. I'll just leave it at that.
Next question.
It's not some graduate shit.
Next question, bro.
This is Robinson.
Bro, next question, bro. Just move on, bro. What are you doing, bro? Where are you, buck pounder for 20? What are you asking us? Tell us.
Anyway, here's a good question. The dog says, who is the greatest active player who has never won a domestic title? He suggests it could be like an upset, could be Weibo Gaming Light, he thinks. It has to be an active player. They've never won a domestic title. Because obviously, by the way, in the past, it would have been Tarzan, wouldn't it? But let's figure it out, because it's going to be a hard one, I've got to say. Upset's not a bad show.
Yeah, and LEC is quite easy, right? It's like upset, Razork has never won. Even though it's like, it's tricky with Razork because he's up and down, but he's had really, really good years. Let's have a little look on who's actively playing in LCK. I just need to pull it up real quick.
Because the problem is all the great LCK mids have won. All of them. Almost all the great Koreans have won, as far as I can tell. I'm trying to think who else has it. Oh, my boy Flame never won. Oh, wait, he technically won an LPL, but he was like the sub player when LGD won. That one doesn't really count for me. You know what I mean? So Flame was one. You could have that. Who else?
Just pulling up. It's like, I don't know. The LCK has done such a good job of
even score one in the end.
It's like they've kept like the good players stay on the good teams. Like it's like because BDD has won, so he's like he slips through even though his career has been very, very up and down. It's like I'm trying to think of who is like the closest to it. Then it would be like maybe someone like Aiming, but. It's like he was like a big reason why he didn't win in a lot of those cases, you know. True. Like he didn't perform in those playoffs, but like in the LCK would be the play closest to it. Light is a good fucking shout.
Let me just confirm that is true. I think it's true though. It should make sense because he was on LNG before, so I don't think he's won. But yeah, I think that's right. Let me have a look. No, he's never won. No, Light's not a bad one because I tell you what, if you don't watch the LPL, you don't know how good that player was. By the way, he actually is sort of like. You could even compare him to an Aiming. These guys can carry a game, bro. They just somehow never got it over the line, never won the finals. They've even been in very good teams at times.
Yep. And then there's like, the other one would be like someone like Leave, but he just has played for a shorter time than Light, as far as I understand.
Also, shout out you Fox making us realise that it's probably upset. Why is it upset though? Fucking hell, Yamato. You know what? Maybe next year. Fucking hell. I'm the Arsenal fan now. I'm the Arsenal fan. Maybe next season. Who knows? Fucking hell. All right. He's done it again. We've got another trade offer. Are you ready, Yamato? You remember that trade offer last time? There's another one. Fede's given us another trade offer. You get Gen G wins Worlds. Chovy finally puts on a legacy-defining Worlds run together. But listen to this one. Beating CFO, Anyone's Legend, and Hanwha Life Esports in playoffs. Second trophies for Canyon and Ruler. But here's the other side of the trade. Keen and Duro can't play Worlds. Gen G scramble to put together a roster and end up with King top and Beryl support. Beryl finals MVP. The org decides to re-sign King and Beryl for next year. Keen plays 2026 on Fear X and retires without a World's Trophy. You know what? Fair play. This guy does make some. He makes some like Saw. Would you like to play a game? He makes some nightmare. I know. What do you think of that? So Chovy wins Worlds, bro. He has a legacy-defining run. Is it worth it though? That Kingan and Beryl get to win, and Beryl's finals MVP.
Nah, it's for sure not worth it.
Bro,
the Chovy narratives will just get worse from this shit. They'll get worse. And then I have to hear about Beryl for the longest time. Like, somehow he managed to slip through in an even more fraudulent way than the RX. I don't take this deal. I don't take it.
Because I know what you mean. As much as I want Chovy to win, listen, Chovy can win in other worlds. I would actually low-key have to, like, it's bad enough with, like, the Faker being the GOAT because of, like, these last two Worlds runs. Bro, if the fans could have Beryl making 4 finals and being the finals MVP and winning all those Worlds, they would say he's the GOAT support pro. And I can't live in that world, you know. I don't want to live in that world. I want to stay in League. So, no, unfortunately, again, I reject your trade offer. Even though I agree, it is fire. It was good. It was good. Right, here's an interesting one for you. Tiny Pickle, that's the username, not my alt, said, assuming he hasn't seen it, Thorin, how would you sell JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it's an anime, to Yamato? Have you ever seen it?
I've seen the first season. Yeah, I've seen the first season.
In that case, I can't sell it to you, but I'll sell it to fans. So maybe you can join in. I will say, I am not a fan generally of just like shonen anime and silly, because a lot of it is just for teenage boys and it's silly shit and it's all like fucking ego aggrandization. I like the ones that are like, you know, Monster or Legend of the Galactic Hero. I like the ones who are a bit more to think about behind them, etc. But I'll tell you what, if you want a fun anime, this is a really fun anime, I've got to say. I know people will be put off by a lot of anime fans, and it's also one of those ones where a lot of people, if they have like weird politics, are into this for some weird reason, right? Because they read all their favorite angles of gender and stuff into it. Ignore that. It's just, here's what I would say about this anime. It's almost like WWE. It's bizarre how like crazy the storylines are. Like, you know, an anime when someone finds something out they didn't know, like, oh, Nani? It's like that, but on drugs, bro. Like, every fucking scene is just some crazy shit happening. Every personality is so over the top. I've already seen like a season or so myself as well. But I tell you what, it actually was a fun watch, bro. Like, I have to say, it's really, you'll never guess where this show goes. It's a really bizarre show, but it's got something a little bit compelling. But I sort of see where it has a fan appeal, you know? So if you just want something fun, put it on. It's not bad. What do you think?
No, the first season goes. They lost me over time, but the first season, I think it's like
it goes hard as fuck, bro.
The first season is really, really good. It's like it's interesting how it's always this side against this side, and it just takes different shapes all the time, and it's just like a long ass. It's like an endless battle that just keeps going back and forth.
Yes.
And they always keep you on the toes. It's like in the first season, when like the revival and like a Nazi came back. It's like, what the hell? How did we end up here? It's like it's mental.
It's weird shit,
Wasn't they fucking Speedwagon or whatever the fuck his name was?
Weird shit, bro.
They really keep you guessing. They really keep you guessing.
Like this, I swear. You've never seen anything like this. Right, here's one for you. Big Boy asks, what is the strangest thing you have witnessed in a public place?
It must be like I've been to San Francisco, I've been to New York, and I was there because of Riot, and they put us up in the freakiest locations. When I was,
I know what you mean.
Like you can choose. Do you want the San Francisco story or do you want the New York story?
We'll start with the San Francisco one. Let's start with that one because I know that's going to be some straight fight degeneracy. So come on, hit me with it.
San Francisco. We are out of the tournament. This is 2016. I need to buy another piece of luggage because I bought a bunch of souvenirs, whatever. I need to buy another piece of luggage. I find a place I can buy luggage over there. I go outside. I walk down the street. It's like the street is all like it's filled with people, whatever. And then, like, I am standing at a stoplight, and next to me, there's this dude who is pushing just a shopping cart, and it's filled with bottles. I'm like, all right, he's collecting bottles, all cool. I notice on his fingers, he has bottles on all 10 of his fingers, just bottles. Okay. And then, like, I'm just inspecting him because it's like, it's new. And then he looks at me, and we get eye contact. Then I look away. I don't do it awkward. I start walking. Then I walk to the right. I cross the crossing. And then I hear, as this guy is pushing the wagon, he's going in the same direction as me. But I can hear behind me that he's like accelerating because I managed to create some distance, but he begins to accelerate. Okay. And then I hear bottles like clanking against one another, right? And I'm like, what the hell is happening? I turn around, and this dude with the bottles is doing like, I don't know, he's trying to curse me with his bottom fingers like this. And I'm like, oh shit. I begin to like, I start doing like a slight joke because I'm freaking out. You know, I don't know where I am. I'm trying to find the shop. I notice he's like continuing, accelerating after me. And this is like in broad daylight. It's like 2 p.m. And he's just doing this. It's like he's like almost ramming into people because like the sidewalks are very, very tight. And then I finally get to the store. I get inside and I'm like, all right, I'm safe. I'm like, okay. The guy disappeared, no problem. But buy the luggage. I walk out. Same stoplight. On that same stoplight, there's a woman that just walks on red. And this is like very, very busy hours. It's like the crash almost happens. A woman just walks on red. And I'm like, what the hell is she doing? And she just walks and everyone's like, what the hell are you doing, you lady? Like, what? I just see she's just covered in shit. She has shat herself. She's probably like completely out of her mind. And she's just walking down the street. And she just crossed into red. Almost died. And then it's like, I finally get close to the hotel. And then a random dude just comes up to me. And he's like, hey, you want to buy some crack? I'm like, what the fuck? And then his girlfriend jumps him and begins to strangle him. And says, no, don't sell it. It's ours. We need it. And I'm like, what the actual fuck? And then I enter the hotel. And I'm like, I've been gone for 40 minutes. And bro, this all just happened to me at the same time. What the fuck is this city? You know, what is this area they put us up in? And it's just San Francisco was wild. I'll never forget that one simple walk. I have the luggage to this day, but I get PTSD when I look at that luggage because that to me was one of the craziest things I've ever experienced.
All right, hit me with a New York story now.
New York.
What's this, subway or something? Where is this? Come on.
We are in New York. And they put us up in a hotel that is directly at Times Square. And Times Square is like, you've seen like images of Times Square online or whatever. Times Square is nasty. It's like, it's really, really bad. Yeah. It's like the worst of everything of New York is collected there. And me and Wanda were like, okay, it's the middle of the night. We're hungry. We don't know how to order things. We're going to go to the Taco Bell that is on Times Square. We're thinking, okay, we're going to go. It's in the middle of the night. We go into the Taco Bell. And we notice as we enter, like, you know how like people that are like completely like high out of their mind, you know, like just smoked weed. You can just see like how they're looking, like all of their eyes just turn into owls. We just notice like everyone's on Taco Bell is just stoned and they're just munching on something. We're about to do the order on like the machine. And then this random dude just comes in. All right. Random dude comes in. I can see like he's all dirty or whatever. His clothes are all fucked up. And he just comes in and he starts like just grabbing people's meals, you know? And these people that are high as fuck, like they're paranoid as shit. They're not doing anything. He just starts grabbing these meals. And then you have like this sassy black woman. It's like, sir, you need to stop. Like she's obviously not getting paid enough to act as security for this fucking place at 2 a.m. It's like, sir, you need to stop. You need to get out of here. And then he's like walks over to the machine, starts pressing, like grabbing at people's cards. Me and Wunda are just hoping that this dude doesn't like approach us. And then he starts stealing the dispenser, the alcohol dispenser, to wash your hands because it was just like post-COVID. He grabs that thing and the lady is like, sir, you need to put that down, sir. And then he grabs it, steals it, and just runs away with it. The next morning, I swear, Thorin, we have to take this bus because it's not safe to get to Madison Square Garden, the Hulu Theater. We need to take this bus, this van, and there is traffic. And we can't move because it's like taking that 1 kilometer ride took us 1 hour every time because New York is damn busy. And then we can't move because that same dude from Taco Bell is banging on our windows. He's just banging on our windows. I mean, Wunda was like, hey, it's Taco Bell, man. The world is very small. He just showed up again. But at least, you know, his hands were very disinfected. I don't know. It's New York and San Francisco. Some of the people, it's like in terms of how they're dealing with the homeless or like the mentally ill and the prevalency of drugs is absolutely crazy. It's like, and Riot just put us in two of the worst locations I've ever experienced, for sure.
All right, I've got 2 stories for you. I was trying to think, because I actually don't have that many crazy things I've seen.
Okay.
At least things I can talk about on this podcast. So I've got 2 for you. One is also a homeless encounter, which is when I was doing E-League in 2016. I used to live in Atlanta because they put me up in like a furnished apartment. And I was in an area called Midtown, which looks idyllic, mate. It's all little park areas and lovely like sidewalks that are all clean. And the shops are all professional and the traffic's all quite nice. And Atlanta's always really sunny, great weather. But I'm walking along, and when I get past one of those like cultivated, like sort of green areas where there's some, you know, some grass and a few trees and a park bench, the 2 people who, let's just say, clearly aren't from this area. They're from the ghetto. It's obvious by their apparel. They look dirty. They're homeless, even possibly. They're sat there on this bench, right? And initially, I'm just walking along. I think I've been walking like Moses or something mad like that, like another commentator. And we're thinking nothing of it. We just walk along, see some people on the bench, whatever. People sat on the bench. It's all right. It's a nice sunny day. The birds are out, you know, fucking the bees are collecting all the pollen for their nest, whatever. As we get closer, we notice that the guy who's sat like this, he's sat like this with his eyes closed, like his arms are to his side, and he looks like he's homeless and is on drugs, like maybe he's high on heroin or fentanyl or something, right? He's like, and then what I thought was like his girlfriend kissing him. We get closer, it's another man, but he's wearing women's clothing and some like lingerie or something. He's sat like when your girl sits on your lap facing you, like, you know, groin to groin. And he's leaning over this guy who's lying back like that. And you know how a mother bird feeds the baby bird? He's just letting really slow some spit come down like into that guy's throat. Like, and then all I did to Moses is just go, let's cross over the road here. And we just quickly didn't even get past them. We just cross like straight across, not even like at the crosswalk, but straight across the road and just go on with our lives. Because you know what, Yamato? While if this was like a David Lynch film, that sounds really intriguing. What's going on there? I don't need to know. That's where the story ends for me. I'll leave it at that. I try not to think about it. It's some nightmare fuel in many ways. I don't know what was going on there. And again, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Then I've got an esports related weird one. So one of the ways I got to know Monty is I started going to Korea. I'd been to Korea for CS, for just events. There was an event in Seoul called E-Stars Seoul. But then what happened was I decided in the era of League, when I was getting a bit more money, I would actually go to Korea and try and do some interviews with Korean people. So what happened was, before I even knew Monty, I think maybe he tweeted at me or something, or said something on Reddit, I actually decided, like, Monty, like, messaged me on Twitter over something about, like, maybe he messaged me, like, hey, I like your interviews or something. And I said, oh, hey, actually, you're actually the guy I need to speak to. I'm going to come to Korea soon. Maybe we could meet up or something, and maybe I could do an interview with you. And he goes, oh, it's better than that. You can just come and stay with me for a week if you want. Just stay at my apartment. Because at the time he was single. I did that. Like, the first time I went there, it was me and Chaos. So after I liked it the first year, the next year I did it again. And I did it the same thing just before the spring finals of OGN. So I go there in the spring. And what was the story? Oh yeah, that's right. I go there and basically, this time it's me and Papa Smithy are the ones staying there, bizarrely, because before Papa Smithy started working with OGN. And when I'm at this in Korea this time, I'm going through the underground on my own one day. Just, you know, once you get to know the circles of the big lines, you hop on a line, you go to the next place. It's actually one of the best ways to travel in Korea instead of a taxi. You just do that, get off. As I'm going through one of those big, like, you know, turnstile parts, I go through and I hear people talking American behind me, coming in behind me in the turnstile. So after I get out, first of all, I'm not a dickhead, so I don't stand right in front of the turnstile so you can't get through. Like, you know, all those people get to the top of the escalator and then start looking at their phone like, get out the way, we're on the escalator coming up, you moron. Do you know how physics works? So anyway, I go through, but then I turn, and this is mental, and I turn around, and Paul Belter is stood there. This is when he was still like a young player, by the way. And he stood there, but then also, I see with him, there's a bunch of, like, other players from Evil Geniuses. And at the time, it was when Evil Geniuses was changing their roster and doing some, like, change. And at the time, it hadn't been announced. So I see Paul Belter, and I go, dude, are you poor belter? And he goes like, and his eyes go really fast, like side to side, like, yeah, but I got to go, man. And he quickly rushes off, and then I noticed behind him scurrying a whole team of players. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't that like Helios from fucking? And who is that? And as they're running, they turn. And I see one of them has that backpack on, you know, the LCS backpacks back in the day. It has the LCS logo on it. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is Evil Genius's new team secretly boot camping in Korea. This is unofficial information. No one knows this. And they all scurry. And that's why they don't talk to me, because they're all like, oh shit, we'd be rumbled. And by the way, imagine being them. Imagine them like, oh, here we are now, secret boot camp. Let's take the underground. Is it Thorin? Holy shit. And at the time, I've got like summoning insights on the front page of Twitch every day, like 10,000 viewers watching live, like me and Monty, like, guys, TSM shit this week also. Like, that's what the show used to be. So that was weird in itself, because like, why would I meet him in a fucking random, like, Sinchon stop of fucking the Korean underground? Still better than seeing someone dribble spit into a person's open mouth, you know.
Did you leak it?
No. Because here's the thing. Back then, I was never an investigative journalist, so I wasn't the kind of person who'd do that. Like, my shit was obviously doing an interview where you do something like that. I wasn't on Jacob Wolf shit, mate. That was never my style anyway, so I didn't. But I did tell that story once it was announced. Once it was announced, I did tell, because I think at the time people speculated that like Poby would leave or they'd get different players. And this is when they did like, I think it's when they did that all Korean lineup with like Inox top lane and shit. You know, that really weird one they did initially in Evil Geniuses. I think that's enough for this time. I think that's enough for this time. Really good episode. Obviously, if you want to ask a question, subscribe to the Last Nation Discord. Put your question in the channel called SI-questions or whatever. And we'll see you next week to get hyped for Worlds.